is a violin prodigy. Her full name is Maggie the Stallion. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Another day, another Draymond Green suspension. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We are the morning show on CBS Sports Radio, and I can't imagine there's anyone left in the NBA world, sports world, who, wants more of this. Who's Draymond, so misunderstood. I mean, I think we're all kind of on the same side of this now, where the antics are really getting old, and it's just not working the way that it may have used to work in the Warriors' first run.
Wait, you saying in the year that he kicked LeBron in the junk and cost him the finals, people thought it was working then?
Well, no, but there were people, and I think you're one of them, who believe that Draymond can only play one way.
Oh, yeah.
And for the Warriors to be the Warriors, he had to play that way.
No, I do agree. I'm just saying now that Draymond is 33, nothing's changing. Nothing. There's no difference now with what Draymond's doing than what he did in the first run. In my sense, every great team needs that crazy guy, right? So I don't understand, what do you expect from Draymond Green?
Okay, so we're just supposed to all sit back and be like, you know what, Draymond, do you. Keep kicking people, keep punching people, keep flailing people, keep stepping on a guy's chest when he's on the ground, keep doing all your antics, and we're just going to excuse it, because that's what's been happening. Now he's been suspended indefinitely, so it's different.
Why would you expect him to change now?
Okay, so here's the thing about that. I don't think it's wrong to look at somebody and say, you've been playing one way. It's had, let's be frank, mixed results. You've had some really good, but some really bad. You've cost your team titles as much as you've won your team titles, or helped to win them titles. You've cost your team. You've been a bad teammate. Why wouldn't we expect that person to change their behavior? Why can't there be personal growth for every single person on earth? We're all trying to get better, but Draymond Green is allowed to just continue to be a knucklehead. In the name of basketball. That is such crap.
I think you're completely misunderstanding one thing.
Okay.
Human nature.
Okay.
People don't change.
What?
People don't change. You cannot tame Draymond Green. There's no taming Draymond Green. And you look at the great crazy players in NBA history. Crazy is not the right word. That's a little too pejorative. But you
dirty.
Look, Dennis Rodman, of course, with the Bulls. So you couldn't change him. There's no way. Why even try? It was you're wasting your time. Vernon Maxwell with the old Rockets. Changing him apparently was nobody even thought about that. These guys it's a compulsion that Draymond has to act like this. He can't help it. It's not like he's choosing to do this. You think that was a well thought out thing to hit Yusuf Nurkic the other day? He can do these things, and there's just no way that he can change that. That is obvious to me.
I think that people can change their behavior, but there's no incentive for Draymond to change his behavior, maybe until today, because general manager, coach, the NBA, and let's call it what it is, the star of the team has been permissive of this. Now, it's up to Draymond. He's his own person. He's got to be the one to change here. But at some point, doesn't Steph Curry have to say, you know what? This is wild to me. It helps Draymond's brand to keep being this way. He's the malcontent. He's the, the tough guy. He's the bully. He's got his own podcast for it. He's going to have a broadcasting career like Barkley because of this style and his reputation. He's gotten everything he's ever could get from the Warriors, and for Draymond, it's not about rings anymore. He's far exceeded any expectation for him in the NBA. For Steph, he's trying to win that fifth ring.
Right.
He's going for legacy stuff. He's going for, do I have as many titles as Magic Johnson? Do I have more titles than LeBron James, most likely? He's going for, I'm the best player of this generation type stuff, and Draymond's actively standing in the way. So forgive me, I do have to put some of this on Steph Curry, because you have to be the one to try to get through to your teammate and say, you are standing in the way of my greatness.
How many years have they played together?
The whole careers, right?
So I don't understand. All of a sudden now he's going to get through to Draymond? I think 2016 or whatever year that was with LeBron, it was 16, right? Yep. That's when he had to get through to Draymond. Now it's way too late. I think they must be set in their ways much stronger than anything they can tell you. Steph's going to walk up and say, hey, Draymond, you should stop hitting people. What good is that going to do?
Well, they can at least stop caping for him about it. They can at least stop.
How are they caping for him?
Jordan Poole getting punched in the face, and basically the whole team was like, who leaked the video? Who leaked the video? That was the investigation, not hey, your teammate just did this thing. And then the first moment they could, they got Jordan Poole out of town. It's like, and then they gave Draymond a contract extension. And they had Draymond's back on that whole thing, which is fine. It's okay. But he suffered no consequences. Basically forcing KD out the door. No consequences. These are things that cost Steph Curry titles. And if I'm Steph, I'm like, enough. I still have it. I'm still playing at a high level. Yeah. You're playing like a knucklehead.
So a couple things. If you're an opponent of the Warriors, do you want Draymond Green to be watered down, or do you want this aggressive Draymond Green? You would much rather face a watered down Draymond Green. Draymond Green being like this has helped the Warriors win all these titles. He's a tough guy on that team. He sets a tone, especially this team, because it is the softest championship team in the history of sports. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, those guys wouldn't hurt a fly. So you need all this Draymond stuff. So to say that Draymond has cost them over the years, I totally disagree. I think Draymond's antics have helped this team in a major way.
Okay, you think 2016, those
2016 was
cost-
a mistake. But honestly, I think the real problem was Steph's knee was hurt. He had missed the earlier playoff series. I think he ran out of steam a little bit.
Okay, I can't get there with that explanation. Like, I understand some guys, you have to understand what motivates them and stuff like that. But for Draymond, if I'm an opponent, you ask me would I rather face a watered-down Draymond or this Draymond? I'd rather face this Draymond because I know that I can get him kicked out of the game. I know that he's not disciplined enough to keep his cool, that I can get under his skin, and people think that he's mentally tough. It's mentally weak because I can get to you, and I can get to you, and I can get you kicked out, and that's a consequence for your team. So if I'm the Suns, and I don't know if Nurkic was, actually did something to bait him or whatever, but I love a Draymond Green suspension. I got somebody in the Western Conference. I can maybe try to weaken an opponent. Draymond's not mentally tough here, guys. He's mentally weak, and he shows it over and over again with these antics.
Yeah, I feel like this is a nice load management technique for the Warriors. The other thing, too,
innovative.
The one thing is, let's be honest, Draymond there or not there, this team is very, very far from getting another ring for Steph Curry. The big problems are the James Wiseman draft pick. Like, they just have not been able to restock, and now they're super old. And Draymond there or not there is not going to make the slightest difference. I mean, they're a sub 500 team with Draymond. Okay, so I don't know where it's not really.
They need him to win titles. But I don't.
But
see
generally,
that at all.
first of all, I feel like we're talking about a historical situation here with the Warriors. Like, all that energy you're giving. Like, there's no current Warriors contenders team where they need Draymond on the court. This team with Draymond there is not winning anything.
Okay,
this year.
but a couple of years ago, the most recent championship, they started off that season and did not look like title contenders either. And then all of a sudden they're beating the Boston Celtics in Boston, winning a title.
They were 10-13. I don't have the record in front of me. They were 10-13.
I don't think it was very good. And it ended up being, Wiggins and some of the other guys stepping up. And obviously Steph turned the series.
Yeah, I do not see this team as a contender with or without Draymond Green. I feel like
then they
everything
should cut him.
Cut? I mean, fine, cut him, whatever. It doesn't matter. The team is old and nothing good is going to happen out of this situation anyway, whether Draymond behaves or not. So that's one thing. But the other thing.
That's a loser mentality.
Well, I mean, come on. This is Draymond Green. You're talking about 9 years of this. You're acting like this is the first time that Draymond Green has ever got suspended or hit somebody. No. The guy does this all the time. He's always done this all the time.
But here's the thing, though. You brought it up, and I think your point's valid. The margin for error right now is a lot smaller than it was when they were the super-duper team in the 2010s. Like, they were the dynasty. They were the best team ever. It couldn't be touched. They're not like that now, which is even more of a reason why everyone has to, especially Draymond, mind their P's and Q's. This isn't the same Klay Thompson. And this isn't the same everything. Yep. So it's even more selfish of Draymond to be acting out like this because this is Steph Curry feels like he's doing it all alone. That's insane.
So in 2021, they were 53-29. There's no way this team is winning 53 games. They're not talented and they're old. I feel like it's almost irrelevant. Honestly, maybe trying crazy behavior is the best chance. I do not want to water out Draymond Green. They need to take.
It was all by design.
They need to take some wild swings here. They need more players too. Obviously, it's Steph Curry and nobody. So Draymond Green is 33. Is it really that big a deal if he's on the court? You saw that when Curry goes out, Draymond Green is totally useless.
Well, of course, we saw that when Curry got hurt in the 2020 season.
I just think that you're talking about it like this is costing Steph a championship, and I don't see it that way at all.
So here's the thing, right? And I don't want to make it about LeBron or someone else because I want to just make it about Curry, but there is like a relentlessness that LeBron has, whether it's misguided at times, whether it's led to bad signings like Russell Westbrook and stuff like that. But you can't fault the guy for like constantly putting pressure on the organization to win and maximize every single season that he still has on the court. I know that Curry says behind the scenes he lets his voice be known and stuff like that, and that's great. You don't have to do it the same way LeBron does with the passive-aggressive stuff. But, like, at some point, we're watching and we're going to think about Steph Curry as one of the great all-time players in the league, period. And the fact that they can't maximize, and the number one thing is that maximizing every season that you have him healthy and on the court is, like, it's sad. And it's going to look bad on retrospect, especially if LeBron wins another one. But I don't know if he's going to. I
100% disagree with that. But Steph Curry, there's nothing sad about Steph Curry's career. They're old. Well, guess what? You know who else is old? The Lakers. I know they won that in-season tournament. We'll see if this team lasts against teams like the Nuggets.
They reinvented themselves.
Yeah, okay.
They did. They're a team now with size. They're a team now that has an identity. They're a team now that just went to the Western Conference Finals.
You're saying LeBron is more relentless than Steph. I don't even know what you're talking about here, because you really think this LeBron Lakers is going to win the title? If they do, I'd be shocked.
Well, I don't know if they're going to win the title, but I know they got a better shot than the Warriors right now, and Steph is still playing at a high level, just like LeBron's still playing at a high level.
But everyone around Steph has gotten old. It's just what happens with teams. And they tried to reinvent themselves, and they failed on a personnel standpoint.
Okay, but you can't just keep accepting it then, right? Then again, the Lakers are always tinkering, and because I think that's the LeBron influence. Like, hey, you're not going to have me forever. So let's try to go total, you know what, to the wall for every season that I have. And instead, it's the Warriors, put up with Draymond Green, trying to, develop the young guys. It just hasn't happened. What's going on with Andrew Wiggins? I know behind the scenes, there's been a lot of personal stuff. So you got to get that, who knows what happens with that. It's out of your control. It's just crazy to me that you have a guy who's right there at the top of the pyramid when we're talking about all-time great players, and to let a season fall through your fingers because last year you can't win a game on the road, and this year you got more Draymond stuff. It seems lazy.
I mean, let's be real. If Steph Curry was not Steph Curry of the Warriors, 4-time NBA champion, if he was any other NBA superstar, we'd be talking about him as the next superstar looking for a trade, because the Warriors are going absolutely nowhere. And I think there is some culpability that goes with that. Maybe for him, I think a lot goes for Steve Kerr. Yep. I think a lot goes for the, now former general manager Bob Myers, who kind of left them in disarray.
Yeah. And
their current ownership with Lacob. Steph Curry can still play. I don't think anybody can watch him and don't think that guy can win a championship and be your best player. But it's clear there's nothing around him that looks like a change of team, to Perloff's point.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Draymond's antics scream championship. He's a tough guy, he's a physical guy, and he's an underrated, very smart player. But punching guys in November and December doesn't scream to me that you're focused on trying to build towards a championship.
But he won 4 championships with the same exact style. Nothing has changed with Draymond. He's always been like this. I mean, he's not a worse version of Draymond. This is Draymond.
And here's
I think he's been worse recently.
Because he hit Jordan Poole.
And the supporting cast, though, has not been as good. And so these kinds of things don't fly anymore. That's what I'm saying. The margin for error for the Warriors is razor thin. It's not, years past where Steph Curry sits for the entire fourth quarter because they're already leading by 30. It's just different.
I think we're going to look back at this team and say it's a miracle that they milked out another championship in 2021, 2022. I think this team has overachieved, if anything. You're saying, you guys are implying that they're underachieving by not finding a way to build a champion around Curry. They tried and they failed.
Okay.
I think this team has overachieved, if anything. Look how old they are. And look how lack of talent. Who are these players that are supposed to be winning right now?
Well, Steph Curry thinks that he's the best point guard over Magic Johnson. You have someone like that on your team. You can't just be like, well, guys, we gave it a good shot. Didn't even think we were going to get that fourth one. How was that? Pretty cool.
What do you want?
Now let's just all sell tickets, to watch Steph Curry's farewell tour that's going to last 5 years.
So what are the moves the Warriors have not done? What specifically are you guys to be critical here?
Listen, I didn't realize that the Lakers, the Austin Reeves pick or the Rui Hachimura, the Jared Vanderbilt, who knows what these things are in the moment.
They've botched drafts, plenty of drafts since then.
Who the Warriors have. I know, but also, I'm sorry, Rui Hachimura has won how many rings with the Lakers? Austin Reeves has won how many rings with the Lakers?
I'm just saying they keep
won
inventing
one
themselves.
double ring. Come on. And the Warriors won after that. You're acting like the Lakers are this standard, and the Lakers, what are the Lakers doing?
I'm talking about the two emeritus superstars that we have right now, and look at the moves of one team. Yeah, they haven't worked yet, but look at the moves where they at least continue to try to move and move pieces around and shuffle to create something. And then look at moves the other team where you're saying they're just like, well, they're just happy to be here. And they got what they got, and now we just right off into the sunset.
By the way, the Warriors and Lakers played in the playoffs last year, and the Lakers mauled the Warriors.
Yeah, because the Warriors' front court was 6'4", 6'5", and
that goes to our point,
6'6". Yeah, right. I know the Warriors are not good. I don't know what to tell you. They screwed up on the Wiseman pick. Kuminga and Moody were not what they thought. They tried to reinvent via the draft, and they failed. I'm not sure what else there is to do. And by the way, again, don't act like this Lakers team is to find how to win a championship. Because
No. It's not about that.
Because they haven't.
The other thing, too, is this is where the anti-Warrior people really come into play. And I'm not one of them. I love watching the Warriors. But it's your owner said you're light years ahead. And that comment was always going to age poorly because teams go through ebbs and flows. Hell, look at the Patriots right now. Like, you can't stay on top forever. I get that. But the light years ahead thing implies that you found something that no one else has. And it doesn't look like that now. You got a great player, an all-time great player, and it feels like you're might be wasting the end of his career, which is crappy.
Oh, come on. First of all, he's 35. You guys think everyone's LeBron. You think Magic was winning titles at the very end, even before he got sick? I mean, everybody declines, and that's what's happening here. You think Michael Jordan was winning a title in Washington? Basically, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson got old. That's what happened here.
Okay.
It's no mystery. There's no failed opportunity. Like, they're screwing this up because they're not building a champion around Steph Curry. It's not that easy.
Okay, but one of your all-time takes that people get so mad at you about, like really people get mad at you, is when you say Steph Curry's not athletic.
Oh,
right?
Come on. I mean,
so this is another one. This is like a
one
tangent.
of those people, by the way.
Yes, this is another tangent where Perloff
show me the 360 dunk Steph Curry had in a game.
Well, you're making my point.
Yeah.
So the fact is that Steph Curry's game ages much in a finer way because he doesn't do 360 dunks. Now, I still think he's athletic. I think that's crazy, but he doesn't rely on his body necessarily. Like, his body is incredible that it's held up, that he has the cardio. I mean, he's a well-conditioned athlete, but it's not an above-the-rim game that he plays. So why couldn't he continue to be vying for titles?
Yeah, like Tom Brady, no athleticism. Tom Brady's game, it lasts forever. Yeah, he could. But I think maybe you guys are right. It's not happening in Golden State. They just don't have enough talent. And
he's not going to ask for a trade,
I mean, Draymond's 33. How old is Klay? He's not young either. He's got to be is he 33?
Well, and Klay's had so many injuries now.
Just 30. I mean, this is an old core. And guess what? Yeah, it's hard to keep an old group of guys together and healthy, and I think you're going to see that with Lakers too. The Lakers look great, but you're telling me that Anthony Davis and LeBron are going to be able to play 35 minutes a game and do this all year? That I just think you guys are ignoring age. This was what happens to all great players and all great teams. Eventually, they age out, and there's no. I don't think that's what I think is the main problem. Not Draymond's antics. I think it's that this team got old.
I don't think Draymond getting suspended indefinitely helps anything. 855-212-4CBS. We want to hear from you. 855-212-4227. Is it on Steph Curry in any way to try to get through to Draymond or to not put up with this anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, he has. He's been a great teammate.
That's a nice trick to make Draymond's suspension a pro-LeBron argument.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that at all. I'm just saying you've got two superstars who are in the twilights of their career. And how is one team treating one superstar and how is another team treating another?
Well, yeah, but I think you put some onus on LeBron and Steph. It's their role to make sure the team is building a championship contender around them.
Who else would you like me to compare Steph to right now?
I'm just saying that you turned Draymond's suspension into a pro-LeBron take. That just happened on the show.
I think that Steph Curry is measuring himself against all-time great players. And whether it's Magic or whether it's LeBron, he is doing that because he is a superstar of this era. And that's, I think, what you do. You want to be the guy who everyone remembers as the guy.
Of course. But, I mean, here's the thing. You don't really need to promote LeBron in this way because LeBron has got that covered.
Promote himself?
Got that job covered. Yeah, I mean, like
855-212.
he is. He did win the inaugural in-season tournament. He told you how special that was.
And that banner's going up, baby.
Steph Curry didn't win that inaugural in-season tournament.
No.
He didn't beat the Pacers.
Yeah, meanwhile, lots of crazy stuff happening last night in the NBA. But Draymond Green's indefinite suspension, we want to hear from you. 855-212-4CBS. Is any of this on Curry? 855-212-4227. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I was up late studying the Phoenix Suns. The big three finally played together last night. Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker. It is not a big three. It's a big one, Devin Booker, and then occasionally KD shows flashes of the old KD. Then Bradley Beal just happens to be on the court. It's so hard to,
it's the first game they played together. I mean, it is, lighten up, right?
They just lost to the Nets at home, and the Nets are a fancy G League team to me. I do not like that Nets team at all.
Wow. Fancy G League.
Yeah, I mean, who are the Nets players? I watched the Nets. I'm like, how are you have two Hall of Famers on your team and you were getting killed by Cam Thomas? I don't understand this at all.
How dare you disrespect Mikal Bridges? Isn't he a Philly guy?
I just think this idea that this is a dream team era of the NBA. Anytime you put big three together now, immediately my radar comes up like, ooh, that ain't going to work. I don't even care who the big three are. And it's ironic that they're going against the Nets, who had the all-time failed big three twice.
Yeah, you're right. Twice. But I think we've kind of moved off big three, haven't we? That's kind of a dirty word right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's an insult to say a big three.
We're all like a little snake bitten by how many of them failed. You're right. Most recently, the Nets.
Yeah, I mean, at least
whoever put James Harden and Durant and Kyrie. In retrospect, we were all such idiots thinking that was going to work.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the worst was I lived in Brooklyn when KG and Paul Pierce came with Darren Williams.
Yeah.
And when that flamed out, you could get $5 front row seats to the Nets game because they became so bad.
In Beyonce's
they
lap.
paid Darren Williams and he forgot how to play basketball 100%, and KG was old. But I do think there's something about this big three because the rest of your roster can't be good because of the salary cap.
Right.
By definition. We started off by wasting Steph Curry's glory years. I don't know how you build around him because it's hard in today's NBA to put together superstars. When LeBron did his big three, they were all 26 years old. That is not, they weren't 34. So anyway, it's not easy, Maggie. I was into the Suns. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to work. And you were ahead of me on that.
I thought it'd be health. Like there's
and
no
lack
way.
Of depth.
Yeah, there's no way that KD is going to be able to stay healthy. And how are you going to manage all this, especially when the league has a new emphasis on you got to play if you actually are healthy or whatever.
So if it's not the big three, what's the formula?
Well, probably the last thing we saw, which is like the big two.
Yes. Yeah.
Here's what helps. Have the greatest player in the league.
Yes, I was going to say that.
So find that guy at a Serbian racetrack somewhere. Bring him over. And then have a great point guard to pair with that person, and then and trade for your depth pieces.
Yeah,
draft your depth pieces.
Have a 7-footer who's one of the top 10 passing centers of all time and can't miss from three.
Yeah, and is unselfish, no ego that we can tell, and plays a style that can beat you in a million different ways.
Easy, just get that guy and you're fine.
All right, let me take a little notes.
Yeah, it is. It is fun. We started the show by debating, I think is really interesting, what is the difference between what LeBron's doing with the Lakers and Steph Curry with the Warriors? I just really don't believe that you can do anything differently with Draymond Green. You can't say, Draymond Green, behave yourself and fix this, because this is not his choice to be like this. He is compulsively a hitter on the court.
Yes, but okay. But you realize you're kind of excusing some bad behavior, saying like he can't change when we're human beings. We can change.
I don't think we can. I don't think it's that simple.
Bogusch, you seem like you want to get in on
I got to ask a question on behalf of all the morning folks still learning Perloff. Is it always like this where there's no in between? It's either, that doesn't matter, no big deal, or the most vicious takedowns.
Yes.
The Suns are dead and the Nets are a glorified G League team. Or the game didn't matter, it's Tuesday and they were tired. Wait, there's no soft landings.
Yeah, but I speak for America. You think anyone's into this Nets roster? I mean, come on.
That's how you speak for America?
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, they have a lot of G League players on their roster. guys who've been in the G League.
I think every team has a lot of G League
Yeah, I know.
players
That's
these
actually
days.
true.
That's the new college. James is in Modesto. He's our pal. James, what do you think about Draymond Green, pal?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you doing?
My favorite morning people here.
And your own.
Well, yeah, I hear you. Hey, Draymond, man, that guy, sometimes the game just gets past you, He's a brute, And, it's just, he's got some anger problems. He has no business being on the court anymore,
Wait a minute, James. Hold on one second. I love you got Draymond Green takes. You got a game tonight, man.
Yeah.
You
kinda.
got Raiders Chargers tonight, James.
Is it a game, though?
Yeah, I don't know, James.
We got T minus, until if you can't beat this Charger team, James.
I think Stitch going to stick it to us, man. I just got a feeling, man. I lost all hope after last week, man.
Oh.
It's just, I don't know what to do with these guys.
Honestly, James, I'm sorry, but I think
I've been with them.
Yeah.
I've been with them 54 years, and, I'm going to still back them. That's my team, man,
Well,
back 'em.
you're a 3-point favorite tonight, James. Thanks for the call. And I think James is going home at this time, so get home safely. 3-point favorites. You got to beat this Chargers team at home. I know you just got shut out by the Vikings in what was maybe a game that set the sport back 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
You must win this game, right?
I don't know. Do you want to win this game?
Somebody's got to want to win it.
I don't think you want to come out with a W here. I think the team that loses is in better shape.
Race to the bottom. Can't wait for this one tonight. But we will tell you what we find interesting about this game. Not all is lost. Andrew Bogusch is here. Busy night last night.
A busy night, and while I don't think we'll get any indefinite suspensions out of it, a few things happened during Bucks and Pacers, a 140-126 Milwaukee win. First, there was Giannis, the victim of a hard, flagrant foul in the fourth quarter. His brother Thanasis had to be held back on the Milwaukee bench, and then a lot of angry Bucks postgame because the game ball disappeared. Milwaukee wanted it for Giannis, who scored a franchise record 64 points.
It's just so fortunate. I've never seen this before. I feel like you can't. I'm not even gonna comment on that. I don't know if I have the game, but to be honest with you.
The Pacers took the ball innocently, they say, for rookie Oscar Tshiebwe, who scored his first career points last night.
Amazing cover.
Yeah.
I can't believe Rick Carlisle said that with a straight face. We really needed to get Oscar Tshiebwe that ball.
Oh, yeah. Points for creativity on that one.
Giannis was yelling at some Pacers, including Tyrese Halliburton, during postgame handshakes. Then he darts down a tunnel, comes out on the other side of the arena to get closer to the people he wants to argue with. And then there's a pretty big get-together outside the Pacer locker room. It got a little chippy, according to Rick Carlisle.
I don't think any punches were landed, but my general manager got elbowed in the ribs by one of their players. And so he certainly has a bruised rib, and who knows, if it's anything more than that.
Is he out indefinitely?
Over the game ball still?
You know how this rivalry started, by the way.
Yep. IST, baby.
There you go.
In-season tournament.
And they play again tomorrow?
I think so.
I think so. So look out.
Wait, they play tomorrow?
They play again tomorrow. Yeah, I think so.
Honestly, it might be. We got a good rivalry going. What's going to happen tonight? I might check in on that game.
As for Giannis and those 64 points, it tops the franchise record set by Michael Redd. It's also the most points a non-guard has scored since David Robinson put 71 on the Clippers back in 1994. Joel Embiid scored 41 on the Pistons in the Sixers' 129-111 victory. The Detroit losing streak is now 21.
Brandon, are they ever going to win?
Maybe.
At some point, but you think at some point and up to now,
I mean,
they would have
are they ever going to win is pretty open-ended.
It's weird, though, because they've drafted players that people liked. Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren.
They were also 2-1 to start the year.
They won 2 or 3 at one point. It's incredible how terrible they are. And then they hired Monty Williams, who's one of the most respected coaches in the NBA.
I'm at a loss.
Yeah, I mean Troy Weaver, the general manager. I mean, I can't imagine he's gonna be around much longer, given the terrible shape he's left them in.
I know, but to your point, they've drafted well.
Yeah.
So,
are they not developing guys?
Yeah,
though?
that's true.
Do they win again in 2023?
I mean, it'd become must watch.
Wait, have the Spurs won?
We'll get to that.
Yeah. So that's a question, too. Whose losing streak goes on longer, unless the Spurs have won?
I'll answer that they do not win, by the way. No.
Yeah, I couldn't stay up for the end of that one.
Yeah, the Spurs did not win. They thought about winning at least, but they came up short against the Lakers.
Thought about it where? Before the game?
Well, no, they were down by 20 early fourth quarter, got within 1, and then lost by 3. And the aforementioned Suns losing to the Long Island Nets 116-112.
By the way,
I get so many emails from the Long Island Nets. Please get out of my inbox. I don't have the heart to tell them, like, I don't need any of this.
I went there once. Like, this is all I need to ever be back
I'm a
in
Knicks
Nassau
fan, and
Coliseum.
somehow I'm getting Long Island Nets emails. I don't know what's
care
going on.
your waiver wire. Like, please spare me.
Well, that's because you get regular Nets emails.
This is how I'm on it.
This is the problem. But I also get like promotional stuff because I went to a game and I live close by, and that's all you got at Nassau Coliseum these days. So they'll take anybody at their games against the Maine Blue Claws or whatever.
I think I went to like a WWE Raw at Barclays, and somehow that got me in the Long Island Nets email chain.
They're just like, they have like the most sophisticated technology of anyone in the country. They're like scanning eyeballs and stuff just to get your email address to send you stuff about some crappy promotion they've
By
got
the way,
going.
I'm on an important research project. If you notice, I've seemed slightly distracted.
I noticed.
Yes. So I apologize, but I'm looking at how many players on the Nets have G League experience, because I call them a glorified G League team, and I will be done soon, and you guys are going to have to guess out of their 15 players how many have actually been in the G League.
More trivia from Perloff. Love it.
This is an important
breaking
trivia
before that
question.
one.
NFL.
I'll give you a hint. Most of them.
Is Austin Davis the answer again? NFL business meetings in Dallas are over. Sao Paulo, Brazil awarded a regular season game for next season. And Roger Goodell expressing his new desire to improve player safety.
Hip drop, I would tell you, I think we all should work to get that out of the game. You see it escalated in the number of times it occurred this season. The injury can be very devastating. We saw that also. It's not just happening at the NFL level, it's happening at other levels. It's something that I feel we've got to work very hard to get that removed this spring.
Okay. Would love to know how they're going to do this. So can we do
the referees are really good at these things. Just leave it in their hands.
They've been awesome. So I think maybe can I just define hip drop tackle for everybody, just so that we kind of understand? And I think then you'll get like, the hip drop tackle, the defensive player approaches from behind or the side, wraps his arm around the offensive player, and becomes dead weight while dropping to the ground.
So you found the same USA Today article that I did to describe it. Okay,
because
good.
I subscribe to USA Today. And
do you live in a hotel?
I like to get my news, my Friday news on Monday.
I prefer sporting. I prefer sporting news, by the way.
Yes, let's all talk about our old school. Anyway, so I like that description, because let's just all say a guy's running towards the sideline to get out of bounds for a strategic reason. So the defensive player who's chasing that person to try to tackle them inbounds can't leave their feet or try to dive to get that person. You're just supposed to let them run unabated to what? Get 5 more yards or stay in bounds or whatever? Like, how are you going to do this?
That's the problem. It's really hard to figure out. I think it's a little bit like a horse collar tackle. Somehow they got that out of the game.
Right.
So
you can define that.
I know. I don't. Well, listen, this is a league where if you hit the quarterback below the knee, you get a flag. So, I mean, that's a pretty extreme penalty. Maybe they'll come up just what you described. They'll say you can't do that.
I know, but it's like at least the horse collar, like that's a specific area of the uniform.
Yeah, it's easy to see. No, you're absolutely right.
This is like the whole body.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, unless they're going to do it like the roughing the passer rule about you can't like land on a quarterback with all your weight, that if you like land, because that's what they're trying to get rid of, is guys collapsing onto offensive players' legs, like Mark Andrews, and messing up ankles and knees. So maybe that's definable, but still you're asking, it's another thing you're putting on the referee's plates, and they already can't do what they're being asked to do.
And this is one that's slightly different from the roughing the passer, because in that sense, there's kind of a defenseless player aspect to it. A quarterback's throwing the ball, he can't really brace himself, and then you're landing on him. Here, the offensive player oftentimes is actually the aggressor. He's the guy that's running down the field. So
make it a play.
Right. So now you're putting the defense even more of a bind. How do you stop a guy who's not defenseless?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so I can only address this as a non-player, clearly that I'm not. It seems to me like the worst versions of this, they do seem like a cop-out, like I got nothing else to do, so I'm going to do this. That to me is where it gets into a vaguely dirty area. Like, and not in a good last resort way. It's like, I can't actually tackle you, so all I'm going to do is just fall on your legs while I'm holding you by the belt. That seems like something that could maybe get out. But again, I don't trust the referees. There's another Monday morning frustrated debate about that wasn't a hip drop, or how did they miss the hip drop?
Yep.
How did they do that again?
Every crew is going to ref it differently.
Yeah.
And as Perloff says, it's going to decide a Super Bowl. Just wait.
Absolutely.
Because that's what always happens.
Yeah, I mean-
And actually, a bad call did define the Super Bowl last year.
Well, kind of a
good
bad call,
one,
but
depending
technically correct. I mean, what if the Super Bowl was to find out what happened with the Chiefs and Kadarius Toney being 1 foot over the line?
They would have never called it.
We all agree it was a correct call, but it's still controversial. Imagine if the hip drop decided the Super Bowl. It'd be terrible.
That's funny. Do you think they would have called the Toney thing if it was the Super Bowl?
They called the D Ford thing in the AFC title game. He was offsides,
That's
the defense
true.
player on the
You're
Chiefs.
right, you're right.
No, I don't think they would. I don't know. By the way, you guys ready for the Nets number? I'm sorry, Bogusch, when you're finished, because I know
please.
you're dying.
No, go ahead.
So of all the guys addressed yesterday for the Nets, they had 8 G Leaguers and 4 non-G Leaguers. And most of them played in Long Island. So you probably saw them, Maggie.
That's incredible.
I have never been to a Long Island Nets game.
But now do the Suns, because
probably.
the bottom 2/3 of their roster are bizarre too.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I didn't know that a lot of teams are putting guys down in the G League and bringing them back up.
the two-way
players.
Yeah.
The two-way contract.
But
it's a great thing.
Yeah, the one, by the way, did you know Trevor Watford on the Nets did not play in the G League? Did you know there was a person named Trevor Watford on the Nets?
I also think his name is Trendon Watford.
Yeah.
Oh, Trevor Watford, yeah.
Get it right.
Yeah. They have so many undrafted players on this team, too. They are really...
Well, that's what happens when you put all your salary cap money into Kyrie, James Harden, and Durant, and 2 years later, they're not here anymore.
This is when everyone yells like, "Oh, we just got to rebuild. We just got to tear it down and rebuild." That's what you're watching.
Nets basketball, baby.
You're watching what did you say? Glorified G League team.
Yeah, but they went to Phoenix and beat the fully loaded Suns last night. They're a good team.
But here's the thing. In defense of the Suns, and I'm not a believer that this thing's going to work, but in defense of the Suns, it was their first game playing with the big three. They get no grace period whatsoever.
I mean, a home game, they should win that game. No, they do not get a grace period.
And I agree with Perloff, because I think that last year we saw the Suns kind of take a lackadaisical approach to the regular season. Kevin Durant got hurt. He only played 8 regular season games. And he was like, well, I don't really need these regular season games. And then they went into the second round and got absolutely smoked.
Yeah.
Like, this team should be taking the regular season seriously because they clearly need the reps.
I guess. I mean, I don't know if nobody clearly was beating that Nuggets team, but I think you got to give them a little bit more time with all three. Bogusch, thank you so much.
Of course.
Lots more to do, including, guys teeing off. Former players teeing off on the league and what it is today and how guys are playing today. It's not just Tom Brady, everybody. We've got a lot to do with that. We've got really cool guests lined up for today. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. Going to let our guests wake up a little bit, get some coffee. We'll do all that. We also got transfer portal update for you. So much to do. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free. Sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports, or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Man, I need a nap today, get some rest. I need to be laser focused on tonight's football game. Chargers, Raiders.
Listen, an AFC West showdown, 2 5-8 teams. Oh, listen, you have to scrape a little below the surface to find something really interesting about this game. But to me, it's like this. There's a real push-pull happening here with this Raiders team, which is you probably want to lose out so that you can get the highest draft pick possible, so that you can actually get a quarterback and maybe start to turn this thing around. But you do have Antonio Pierce, who's an interim head coach who clearly wants to win games to get the job. So, this is where things get interesting. I don't know how you handle it.
I said it from the get-go. It is way harder than people think for an interim to keep his job. It's such an exception to the rule, because if the head coach is getting fired, you probably have a pretty bad team.
Right.
And it's not going to make you look good. And these Raiders are not making Antonio Pierce look good.
No, they're not. But here's what's unique about the situation. The GM's out too. So you have like a full, you're hiring a general, you have an interim GM and an interim head coach. So the whole thing, you got to whitewash this whole thing, but I don't know if Antonio Pierce can still do anything to try to get this job. I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, I think you're looking at draft position, and you could look at this as a Harbaugh Bowl, too, because the Chargers are getting linked a lot to Jim Harbaugh.
Yep.
And then I think in the past, the Raiders have been linked to Jim Harbaugh. So maybe Harbaugh is the only one watching this game to scout, hey, there's the bones of a good team.
What if Connor Stallion's on the sideline? It's like, dude, you don't have to do that.
Or maybe a Bill Belichick. Yeah, that's a good point. Or it's a Bill Belichick bowl. One thing that, can I say, as an NFL fan and general fan, it'd be cool if the Raiders had a top quarterback. Jaden Daniels would be great there. But how cool would Marvin Harrison Jr. look in a Raiders uniform?
Really cool.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
But he's got to have someone throwing him the ball who's competent.
That's a problem. You're saying AOC, Aiden O'Connell, is not doing it for you?
I don't know. I mean, shave the mustache. Let's talk. I'm just kidding. No, but he's not the answer. Is he the problem? I don't know if he's the problem, but he's not the solution.
Is he an extra in Super Troopers? Yes. Is he an NFL quarterback? We don't know.
We're not sure. Can I bring something up? You're welcome to call in about this game at 855-212-4CBS. I love calling it the Harbaugh Bowl. Does feel like that because it was actually Mike Greenberg of ESPN who first said he was at a function or something and Jim Harbaugh was there and Harbaugh talked his ear off about Justin Herbert. So
it makes sense.
Can I also just mention something because this is something we're all going to have to keep an eye on. EJ, Carlos, Bogusch when he's here, Kaplan from in the back. Something's going on with Perloff with the jury duty, and I just want to point out what it is, which is. You're now using this as conversation for everyone in the building. Like, I'm in the office this morning, and I can just hear faintly down the hallway Perloff talking to Boomer Esiason about grand jury duty.
Yeah.
And that got into a big convo.
Yeah.
This is now your entry into all water cooler conversations. It's like, hey, did you hear I got jury duty? You're using this as a conversation starter.
Well, okay. Boomer and I walked into the building today, and I usually drive to work, but I was getting out of an Uber, and I wanted to explain, I don't usually Uber. We were talking about how you get to work.
Yeah.
Typical sad dad conversation topic. And I said, I drive, but I have to Uber because I'm going to jury duty after work. And that piqued his interest. Who doesn't want to hear about jury duty? Now, I can't talk about it. I want to be very careful. I cannot talk about anything of jury duty.
Yeah, because we believe you're actually making it up. And now the ruse has gone to Boomer.
It's very convenient that you can't say anything about jury duty.
Well, they're very clear. You can talk about other juries. You cannot talk about grand jury, which is the worst. By the way, this jury duty sucks. You guys are making fun of me.
No.
It is awful.
Well, we know. You're doing your civic duty, so that's a good thing. But I've never seen you this... It's like you're getting depressed because you're hearing all these terrible things going on.
I can't talk about it.
How could you not?
Oh, it's so depressing. But no, that's not the depressing part. It's sitting in a room for 8 hours. It's like having,
You could write a memoir in there.
I know. But it's not even that interesting. 4 weeks in a day? This seems unfair, right? Every time I tell somebody this, they say 4 weeks.
Feels excessive.
Feels like an excessive punishment for nothing. Like I'm a lottery number. I got the anti-lottery. And I'm like, is there anything we can, I was Googling, is there any movement against shortening the length of grand jury time? And that Google led to nowhere.
Surprise.
Wow.
Because everyone's tried to get out of it.
Pretty amazing.
That Google led to, here's a guideline on how to be on jury duty. I'm like, I know how to be on jury duty. How do I get out of jury duty?
I'm pretty sure the government wiped any and all movements from the internet.
Yeah. Perloff is like, this system's got to change. Like, I think it's going to change soon. I'm like, I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah. And by the way, the things we need to change in the system, the length of jury duty is not high up on the list right now. Yeah.
We talk about the system. That's really far down on the list.
Yeah. They don't lead off a presidential debate. Okay, sir, we have wars all over the place and economy issues. What do you think of grand jury service being 4 weeks? I mean, that's crazy, right?
It's like the moderator's like, well, very specific question. Yes. If Perloff was doing the debates,
that'd be my first.
I don't want to hear about interest rates. Jury duty.
CBS
crazy, am I right?
Yeah, CBS Sports Radio hosted the debates. I'd be like, I understand there's a lot going on internationally.
What about the hip drop tackle?
Yeah, the debt ceiling. Can we talk 4 weeks and a day? Don't forget that extra day they gave me.
Also, the tush push. They can't outlaw it. That's crazy. This is if Perloff did presidential debates. Oh, man. Curious to know what Boomer had to say about it.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's destined to get knocked out by Jake Paul. she's destined to film it. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Problems for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Perloff, and not getting any better when one of the legendary players who is going into the Hall of Fame from your organization is calling out the team. Good morning, by the way. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It's Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. This has become a thing now where the older quarterbacks are really calling out the current state of the league. It started with Tom Brady saying he thinks the league's mediocre, and now Ben Roethlisberger not holding back, talking about the Steelers, and he took down everybody.
As he should. They just lost 2 games to 2-10 teams. I mean, they're sitting there waiting to be criticized. This, to me, there's no controversy here. Everyone who is a Steelers fan and everybody who has anything to do with the organization should be killing this team. This is one of the most, and I picked them to go to the Super Bowl, so I'm personally angry. But yeah, I mean, how can you not rip them? I mean, they should not lose 2 games at home to 2-win teams. That's never happened to Mike Tomlin. There's something wrong in Pittsburgh.
Okay, well, I think why people are particularly upset about this is because, yes, the team is bad. People had high expectations for them once they saw them in the preseason, so buyer beware with the preseason. But you thought they had high expectations, and not only are they not living up to it, at least on the offensive side. The defense has been very good on the offensive side. But also there's the feeling that nothing's going to change. You know, that's like, it's a helplessness feeling because whether you think Mike Tomlin is the problem, whether you think he's not, it feels like to change anything there, it's like a Herculean effort. It's like turning a cruise ship or something. Like it took them forever to fire Matt Canada, the offense coordinator, when he was clearly the problem. I think that adds to the frustration.
Well, by the way, you said the preseason, they were 7-4 with 2 home games against 2 of the bottom 3 teams in the league. They were saying they had real aspirations to win that division. And I mean, they still are favored to make the playoffs. They have a great
game actually coming up.
Yeah,
this weekend against the Colts.
They're in a great position to make the playoffs. So everything was sitting there right for them, and they're basically wasting this great defense because their offense is so incredibly incompetent. And we learned last week it's not just Matt Canada. It's the whole thing. The whole system's messed up.
I didn't realize this. The people were chanting "Fire Canada" were now chanting "Hire Canada." I didn't know.
Way.
You know, fans we can be fickle like that. So let's hear a little of Ben Roethlisberger. He's got a podcast. First, he says he doesn't know exactly what the issue is. He can't really put his finger on it.
It feels like it's a bigger thing than just one specific thing. I don't know that I can point to one thing and be like, "Here it is." Because if you could say, "Here it is," then you could fix this thing.
Yeah, it's not just one thing. He's calling it global. Okay, so then he talked about the Steelers' tradition and how this great tradition maybe get done.
Maybe it's just going to take some guys to get, or maybe the tradition of the Pittsburgh Steelers is done. Maybe it needs to be formed a new kind of way. I don't know.
Okay, so he's talking, when you take aim at the Steelers' tradition, it's definitely going to catch people's attention. And, he kind of says like he's personally witnessed this, okay? Because he talks about the age gap from when he was in his last years in Pittsburgh to the young guys on the team. He tried to get through to them about passing on these traditional things, and it just didn't get through.
There was such an age gap for me and everybody else on offense that there just wasn't that Steeler tradition passed down. And you have it on defense, don't get me wrong, but you don't have it on offense right now. And it's just making it really hard. You're not seeing, in my opinion, the toughness on offense.
He said also the loss of a lot of Steeler legends is the reason for no toughness.
When the Kiesels left and the Farriers, the Fanekas, the Wards, the Bettises, you can go down the list. When those guys start leaving, they passed it. It's a matter of the person that it gets passed to. What do they do with it? I can give you you the answers to a lot of things. Yeah. Are you going to take those answers and use them? Or are you going to be like, appreciate you, old timer.
Yeah.
I'll take care of this.
Okay. So a lot there and a lot of shots fired. And just may I play one more for you, because when he's asked about the players not having accountability, they're not holding each other accountable. Maybe they're not even buying into the Steelers tradition. Again, on the offensive side, he left the defense alone. Then he says it's not going to be the players, then the coaches are the ones who have to step up and fill in, and they're not doing it either.
As a coach, if the players aren't holding players accountable, then you need to step up and do it. And you need to say, hey, listen, this is unacceptable. maybe it's like we're gonna give you one more chance, or I'm sitting you down and someone else is gonna get a shot.
Okay, so really took it to the Steelers there in kind of every facet.
But to me, everything he said is obvious and not even controversial. I read there was some controversy brewing around Big Ben's comments. All that seems middle of the road, obvious. What spot any lie there?
Okay, so I think the one place that people, yes, there might not be any lies detected, but he really kind of yada-yada'd over his potential role in passing this on to the next generation. Right?
How so?
Well, because he's saying that I was old and these guys were young and I couldn't get through to them. But isn't that part of about the holding of players accountable? Like, he's Ben Roethlisberger.
Right.
Like, that's kind of your job to pass this on to the next generation. And he was there the last couple of years. He said, like, guys were just young and he didn't connect with them. And there we go.
Well, he's saying that you can try to pass it along, but it's up to the young guy to take that lesson. And you could argue that it's not just, yes, he didn't pass it along, but obviously great leaders like Marquise Pouncey and the offensive line, they didn't pass it along either. So nobody passed along any of that toughness on offense, because you watch that offense, they do not look, I don't know, they agree. But one thing about blaming the coaching, he's blaming Matt Canada. And I blame Tomlin for making a terrible hire. I think he has every right to blame the coaching. I think he has every right to blame these young players who, in my opinion, are not playing up to their potential.
You're right about that. But if you're blaming Matt Canada, aren't you blaming Mike Tomlin?
Yes, I'm blaming Mike Tomlin for hiring Matt Canada.
Right.
It felt like I noticed these aging great coaches sometimes don't make the best decisions on their hires. Like Belichick has been screwing up his assistant coach hires. This was the biggest mistake in a long time for Mike Tomlin to hire Matt Canada, who he had a friendly relationship because he was at the University of Pittsburgh. He liked him, and I think he let that blind him about what kind of coach he was.
You know, you might be right about that. Now, I do want to give – there is another side of this, though, from Tomlin. And the other side of it is you can't just be this curmudgeonly stick in the mud like, hey, I'm going to coach the same way that I did when I got here as I'm going to coach now. And you can take a lot of those principles, but guys change. The game changes. The players change. You know, it's not the same in the 70s that it is in the 90s, that it is in the 2000s. I think good coaches do adapt. Now, that's not a very popular opinion right now because the Steelers aren't playing very well. But, you know, for a coach like to have to change his ways, we were talking about this before the show, a big thing with the Steelers, and Ben talks about this is the Football and podcast that he was on. So he was talking about the long-standing thing of no music in the locker room, right? And he said, this is a small thing. This is not why you win and lose games, but this was always one of those things that you never played music in the Steelers locker room. And because you wanted guys to talk to each other, right? You want them to interact. It's not you're listening to your music and I'm listening to mine. And this is, you want to interact and have conversations and try to team build when you're in the locker room. And he said that went by the wayside. But we saw Mike Tomlin last year dancing in the locker room kind of in a way I think that showed I can evolve. You know, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. We can keep the core principles of being a Steeler, but we also, you don't want to be the guy who's totally out of touch with the young people you're asking to put their bodies on the line for you.
No, I agree with that. But then what's not working? I mean, why is something not there? Offensively, why is it such a bad unit? Because there are talented names there. So if Mike Tomlin is changing, I actually thought when you said he has to modernize, I thought you meant his style, like he wants to run the ball down your throat.
Yeah.
But
in Pittsburgh, that's never a bad thing, right?
But yeah, the funny thing is in Pittsburgh, they won championships. Then they got this high octane offense with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, and were throwing the ball all over the field. Ben had huge numbers, and they couldn't win a Super Bowl that way. So I think Tomlin wanted to go back to the late 2000s and be a tough-minded team because the Antonio Brown Steelers never won anything. They did nothing but disappoint.
You know, I think there's another part of this, which is, can we hear cut 2 where Roethlisberger is talking about someone needs to, grab each other by the face mask to get each other's attention?
Who's grabbing someone by the face mask and being like,
Yeah.
That's not what
we do.
It's not what we do. Is that happening? You have guys on defense doing it, but you need guys on both sides of the ball doing it. You need someone to stand up in that room on offense and be like, hey, this isn't what it means to wear the black and gold.
Okay, so really look at the Steelers' offense.
Yeah.
Who is that person who feels like they have the gravitas, is playing well enough to actually call someone else out, right? Kenny Pickett, let's put him to the side, not just because he's hurt now, but his confidence had to be wavered because of the Canada thing and Like, I can't expect my second-year guy to necessarily be grabbing other people by the
Yeah,
face.
I mean, he's got those little hands. It's going to be hard for him to make an impact with that. But you're right.
Stuck in the helmet.
That didn't feel like an insult to Kenny Pickett because Kenny Pickett's so young. You know who I have a guy, but go ahead.
Please, because
it would clearly be Najee Harris, who has the gravitas, but being from Alabama, being a high draft pick, he's known as this really high character guy.
Yep.
It's got to be him.
Okay, so in this podcast, not only does Ben Roethlisberger not say Najee Harris, he says Jalen Warren.
Wow.
Who just got there. I mean, that he said Jalen Warren and Pat Freiermuth. They're two super young guys. And actually, Freiermuth and Najee Harris, I think, it was the same draft, right? So, and Freiermuth's been hurt. So it's like, you might have some good veterans like Isaac Seumalo, who obviously Perloff knows well, or, Mason Cole. But these guys they're veterans, but they're not Steelers. They're free agents who came in.
Well, I get the Jalen Warren because he runs like a madman. Like that guy is the toughest running back, one of the toughest running backs in the league. So I can understand that. I would think it's Najee Harris because of the pedigree, the Alabama thing. So that makes sense. And Freiermuth feels like Big Ben he feels like Heath Miller and he feels like an old Steeler. And you saw, by the way, Freiermuth coming back made such a big difference. Kenny Pickett's not a great quarterback. He needs that tight end. I don't know if that's what Big Ben was talking about. And they yell Muth, and it feels like a Steeler. But he's right. I mean, there's just not a lot of age. Defense is filled with these guys. I wonder, can't the defense reach over into the offense and say, get your act together? But that's not how teams work.
No, he said that's not how it works because you're not in the same meeting rooms. Game day is one thing, but not in the same meeting.
Cam Hayward's there on the defense. He was in all those Steeler teams.
I think that's where Tomlin really screwed up with Matt Canada because if you don't have those players, this is a very young offense. Like again, I don't know who the skill players are that's going to be able to rally these guys, but that's where you need almost an offensive coordinator who has so much gravitas and who's almost like a head coach in his own right.
Yeah. Like Bruce Arians, who was there for a long time.
I know,
Bruce Arians,
Tomlin doesn't.
Ken Wisenhunt, someone like that.
But Tomlin, moves on from those guys.
Exactly.
I think, I'm not saying because it's like a jealousy thing or a competition thing, but, it's like you don't want the vice president on the ticket to outshine the president, right? That kind of stuff.
And that worked probably better when you had a Ben Roethlisberger and some of those other great Steelers that he mentioned on the offensive line, some of those leaders. But once you get to this younger roster, you're going to need that kind of figure. Mike Tomlin is a defensive coach. He's more of a CEO anyway. He's not going to be the guy who's going to be in the offensive meeting rooms talking about guys getting their act together. And Matt Canada, we saw clearly didn't have a clue on how to get these guys going in the right direction. So that to me was clearly a massive error by Mike Tomlin.
Can we hear from Najee Harris, please? He said that he was asked to respond to Roethlisberger's comments, and he said Ben's been around long enough. He knows the Steeler way.
I got here his last year, so I can't really say like I know what the Steeler way is because he been here with Troy, he been here with Jerome, he knows that really. So if somebody outside sees that, and he been in this building, and he kind of could guess and say like maybe he's right.
Listen, Najee, I guess, kind of agrees with Ben, but if you're saying Najee Harris could step up and be that leader, he's like, I don't know what the Steeler way is.
I mean, maybe Najee's too California. Maybe he's too laid back.
Super cool, dude. Oakland, cool guy.
Yeah, I would. Maybe that's on a solid. It's hard to tell who's the leader in the locker room. Like, we're really, you're not there, and it doesn't have to be the best player. Right. That Steelers team. I mean, you talk about high football character guys. I mean, look at Hines Ward. Would kill you to win a football game. Yes. And he literally did. He was called the dirtiest player in the league. James Harrison, I mean, he was a character, but talking about football character, like he put it on the line all the time. All those guys, Jerome Bettis, it's hard to create that. When you put that bar that high with those kind of veterans, I mean, listen, teams get old. I don't see that player on the roster.
Meanwhile, it's like, this is how bad things are. You got Roethlisberger calling him out. Everything looks like the sky is falling. If the playoffs started today, they would be the second wild card. Like, there's some teams with some bad seasons going on. And this one is still alive. And they play the Colts this weekend, and it's a really big game because they're right next to each other in the standings.
Yeah, I mean, if you actually got points on 3rd and 8 throwing a 6-yard pass, Mitchell Trubisky would be Patrick Mahomes. But unfortunately, there's something called the first down marker that Trubisky has no interest in. I mean, that dude, he is playing so badly, and the play calling, going shotgun at 4th and inches, from the goal line. They're a mess.
Well,
and this is a lot of coaching, offensive coaching too. Dude, I think to call out that coaching staff is the easiest thing to do right now.
Yeah, to go for it on the 4th and 1 was just like so crazy because you haven't gotten anything all day. You know, like you can't pick up a yard. You can't.
I'm talking about the Cardinals game when they were rolling after. I know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about the end of the game where the Steelers had a chance and they're 4th and 1, and all of a sudden this is the time to take the shot. I know Deontay Johnson had 1-on-1, but still.
They were about to kick the Cardinals' butt, and they drove right down the field. Then Pickett got hurt. They had 4th and inches. I mean, they were 1 inch from the goal line. They go into shotgun, and they don't do a quarterback sneak. And then the Cardinals come 99 yards for the touchdown. The whole team is deflated. You could see the body energy.
Yep.
Something's wrong beyond just talent. There's something missing right now in Pittsburgh. So I understand Ben is not well liked by everybody. He's been a character throughout most of his career.
A lot of issues off the field.
Yeah, and on the field too. I think he's always had sort of a tenuous relationship with his teammates. It's never been perfect there. So it's kind of hard when he talks about character in the locker room. It's kind of hard to listen to him sometimes.
Yep.
But he's dead right. There's something wrong in Pittsburgh. And obviously, they're my Super Bowl pick, and I feel emotional about this because they could be so good. They have so much talent. They have T.J. Watt. They have Minkah Fitzpatrick. They have all these guys on defense.
Well, T.J. Watt in concussion protocol right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Alex Highsmith also in concussion protocol.
I love Joey Porter Jr., the rookie cornerback. He gets a flag on almost every play, but he's an old school Steeler.
It's
and
a
of course,
walking holding penalty, but sure.
He's an old school Steeler because of his dad. He plays like a Steeler. That's Steeler football. And it's just not there throughout the team.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Agree with Ben Roethlisberger and everyone who's piling on the Steelers, or is Ben partly culpable here? You know, you're in the locker room with Najee Harris. He doesn't know what it means to be a Steeler. You were right there. Does he have to own up to some of this? 855-212-4227. Maggie and Perloff. So much to do, including more fallout from the Chiefs. The one thing that Perloff wanted to happen with the Kansas City Chiefs, the opposite is going on. I don't know if you're aware of this. You wanted one thing. They're doing literally the diametrically opposite thing that you could do.
I know what you mean.
We're going to get to that in a minute. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by NHTSA. Whether you get pulled over or get into a crash, drinking and driving will change your whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA. Great message for this time of year. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. So, the Kansas City Chiefs. Man, talk about fallout from a loss to your Buffalo Bills.
This one's
it's
ripple
amazing.
and ripple.
Roger Goodell's talking about the call at the end of the game. Everybody is still trying to figure out what's going on with the Chiefs. Maggie, you said that they're doing something that I do not like, and I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, you said that if the Chiefs are going to go anywhere this year, they have to, bench Kadarius Toney? He cannot play in another game? Well, that's not what's going to happen. Let's hear from Patrick Mahomes. This was his message to Toney.
Just be you, man. I mean, that's all you can do in life or in this league. I mean, you're going to make mistakes. I mean, stuff's going to happen in your life. How do you accept that adversity and get past it and do it the right way? And Coach Reed preaches that, and that's how I roll. You make one mistake, that's not going to define you. It's going to be how you respond to that mistake.
Yeah, that's great advice to everyone but Kadarius Toney. I don't want him to be more him. I want him to be more, I don't know, anyone but him.
Well, he's a great punt returner, by the way. I would definitely put him back there for that. That's fine.
He's a great talent. And the irony is that the punt return, I feel like, is the place where you can really mess things up, you know?
Yeah, I know, but that's never been the problem with him. I don't think he's messed up a punt return. Maybe he has.
Nothing comes to mind, but I'm sure we'd have Chiefs fans who would tell us differently if there is such a opportunity. But it's like he's the kind of guy who is he going to learn from the mistakes? Because we went through this in week 1 and it's week 14 and still feels like the same kind of stuff is going on.
Well, I didn't realize he has been minimalized so much with Kansas City. He basically, since week 8, really, he's only got about one target a game. So they're not really using him in any meaningful way until they gave him 4 targets against the Bills and he was on the field at the end. Just don't have him on the field at the end if you're not going to even throw it to him.
Patrick Mahomes, well, he would have scored that touchdown. I mean, that play was, if that was designed at all, like it was for him, I guess. Mahomes says he still has faith in his receivers.
All the receivers know I believe in them. That's just kind of how I roll. If you're in this locker room and I see how hard you work, I'm going to trust in you in big moments, and I'm going to give you chances to go out there and make plays. And from everything I know, their mindset seems like it's in a good spot, and they just want to go out there and continue to get better and better. And I can see that by how hard they're working out here. I feel like as we can just continue to push through the grind, that we'll end up on the other side of it as the season goes on.
You know, I put this on the GM, Brett Veach. Is there a less expensive wide receiver room in the NFL? I mean, they're trying to put together this, spend no money and put together this young receiving core. Of course, you're going to have mistakes. Everyone's pointing out there was a big mistake where Rashee Rice, who's awesome, rookie, lined up in the wrong spot and cost Mahomes in the fourth quarter. So you get what you pay for here.
Well, I mean, a rookie, though, like what bar are we,
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you're a championship contender and you have very, very young receivers.
Well, listen, they won a Super Bowl last year with how many rookies starting in the secondary? It's like they think they can do anything, and it may be catching up with them a little bit. You mentioned that's a good point about where's the investment in the wide receivers. Let's not forget, they are getting a deal with Travis Kelce. Like, Kelce is still getting paid like a tight end when he clearly is one of the best receivers in the league. And he probably could have made a stink about that, but Kelce has been a selfless person when it comes to contracts. I hear Mike Lombardi talking about this all the time. Like, he could be getting paid a lot more if he wanted to.
Well, the man has obviously figured out how to get marketing money by this faux relationship, in your opinion, with Taylor Swift. But
he's just going to live off the Taylor Swift glow.
I mean,
don't forget Mr. Pfizer too.
Yeah, no, he's got endorsements out the yin yang.
I mean, how much do you think Justin Watson is making? How much do you think all these guys, Rashee Rice, these are not even first round receivers. Justin Watson is undrafted. Sky Moore has been, I think, a letdown. MVS, we know he's not great.
Sky Moore's still on the rookie contract.
Yeah, I mean, they should have traded for. I mean, this is a should have thing, which does no good, but. They should have gone all in for DeAndre Hopkins or something. And I know they didn't want to pay Tyreek Hill, and I got that, and they did win the Super Bowl, so this sounds stupid. It did work last year, but I just look at that team, and, man, if you just had a couple more dependable targets, even a Juju, who has not been great, I think that veteran presence might have helped.
Yeah, 855-212-4CBS. Joe's in Youngstown, Ohio. We were talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. We played you some sound from Ben Roethlisberger, who is critical of the offense, the culture, the coaching staff. Joe, you have a problem with this.
Well, yeah, I do. I mean, I'm a huge Steelers fan, season ticket holder. I loved Ben Roethlisberger. He did amazing things there. But honestly, I think he was a lot of the problem. They were trying to get a quarterback in there, but every time they would think about getting a quarterback, he would alienate them. He wouldn't, allow them to come in. Imagine if the Steelers, instead of drafting Claypool, would have drafted Jalen Hurts and let him, sit a couple years. I think, obviously in the NFL, you need a quarterback.
Yeah.
And if you have a great quarterback, you're going to have a successful team. It starts there. I mean, it's proven. Every team that has a good quarterback now is good. And this is where it is. I mean, as much as I love Ben, I think, he
hung around.
He's talking out the side of
his mouth. Yeah, and he wasn't a great team. Joe, it's a good point. And as a season ticket holder, I'm sure you're frustrated. It's a fair point. Eli Manning said that too. When they drafted Daniel Jones, it's not my job to mentor. Remember, Ryan Tannehill said that, and he got a lot of blowback for it.
I think that I understand what you're saying in theory. But I think the reality is the Steelers have never been bad enough to get a high draft pick to get a sure thing quarterback. Nobody knew Jalen Hurts was going to be Jalen Hurts. And I'll tell you right now, Jalen Hurts is a product of the Eagles coaching as well. If he had been in Pittsburgh with Matt Canada, you think Jalen Hurts would be Jalen Hurts? Look at Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen's a miracle worker. Got the best out of Justin Herbert, got the best out of Jalen Hurts, and got the best out of Gardner Minshew this year. I think Jalen Hurts probably would have run into this slow, plodding offense in Pittsburgh. Would he be good there? I'm not so sure.
At least Jalen Hurts, though, he does seem like a leader.
Well, I'm just saying
he's going up against Carson Wentz.
He might not even be starting if he was in Pittsburgh. Who knows? Because he might not have gotten a chance. I think things fell right for him. You have to get a guaranteed good quarterback. The best way to do it is to be terrible and get high in the draft. But Mike Tomlin refuses to do that. The dude just keeps winning.
I know. How dare he? David Kozlitz in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio and twitch.tv/CBS CBS Sports Radio. He says it's the responsibility of the vets every season to relay the message. This is who we are, and relentlessly beat that drum every day so every rookie learns. You can't expect them to just know. He's right. He's right about that.
Oh, my God. I just think we're talking so much about culture and locker room. The fact is that team got old, and they haven't been bad enough to rebuild. I mean, they've never had a rebuild.
But somehow the defense continues to
because they draft so well there, but they don't draft well on offense. Can't we just blame Canada? Like, why are we going beyond the Matt Canada was a terrible offensive coordinator part of this?
I mean, because he's gone, and they just lost back-to-back weeks to 2-win teams. So that's why you can't just blame Canada, despite what South Park would lead you to believe.
Exactly.
Andrew Bogusch is here. Headlines are on the table. What's up?
Maggie, Perloff, the previous holders of this time slot did not necessarily put forth an educational radio show. Case in point, the immortal Sean Morash once thought that the wonderful people in Brazil spoke Egyptian. Now, most of us know the predominant language in Brazil is Portuguese, followed by English, then Spanish. I bring this all up because the NFL knows Brazil is a market it should exploit. So Sao Paulo will host a regular season game next year, beating out Madrid to join the NFL map.
That's also pretty funny because the predominant language spoken in Egypt is Arabic.
Well, and it's just, that's how sweet Shawnee worked. He kind of knew that they didn't speak Spanish in Brazil, which I think would be your first thought normally, but he ended up on Egyptian.
Yeah, when he thought that Egypt and Brazil were next to each other, that was an all-timer. That really got around the office.
Yeah, as it should have.
Wait, so the Brazilians didn't build the pyramids?
Yeah, right.
Maybe. Or aliens.
Oh, yeah, we're
Nobody
not really
knows.
sure. Do you watch the History Channel? It could be aliens.
Don't get it started on bats and vampires. That's a whole other thing, too.
Yeah, right.
Wait, what?
I don't
want to
the legend
know.
I'm replacing here.
Did he think who had tails, according to Morash?
Bears.
Bears have tails.
Bears have tails, yeah.
Like long tails, like a tiger.
I mean,
obviously.
exactly like a tiger, because the picture was a
liger.
It was it was a T-shirt from a pizzeria near Clemson's campus. So it was a Clemson tiger, and he thought it was a bear with a tail.
And the bat story, I believe, is that he thought if you get bit by a bat as a human, you will eventually become a bat.
Wait, you don't?
Or you'll have bat-like features.
Wait, that's not a real
Or
thing?
a vampire.
Like, remember Bat Boy? It was like the cover of a tabloid.
It must have been where he got it from.
Yeah, the supermarket
And
checkout
it
stuff.
led to an irrational fear of bats.
Hey, speaking of Clemson, sorry, now word association is the headlines. Did you see Mark Wahlberg apparently was at a frat party at Clemson because his daughter goes there? Imagine Mark Wahlberg shows up at your frat party. What do you even do with that?
I mean, if you're talking to his daughter, you're getting out of there, right? Like, you're not sticking around.
I don't need that left hook.
No
I already
thanks.
got a black eye.
I'm out.
Yeah, Perloff. And it's actually healing nicely for you. Turn a nice shade of yellow.
Yeah. No, if Mark Wahlberg's daughter is there, Mark Wahlberg is there, I am running. Even though he's quite short, I imagine.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Yeah. I mean,
but Wahlberg plays
all an act.
plays a tough guy, and I think you believe he's a tough guy because of the roles he plays, right?
Yes, this is like Matt Damon. People think he's super smart because of Good Will Hunting. He's just an actor, guys. He's not a genius.
Okay, he might not be tough, like commando tough, but he has significantly more muscles than I do.
Yeah.
Marky Mark.
I'm
And
not afraid of the
assuming-
guy who was singing Good Vibrations.
And I'm
It's a great
assuming
song.
he's been in a fight or two, which I have
Well,
not. So
I think he
he's-
got arrested for one very famously.
Yeah, so again, I'm going to walk away from that account.
When I was at Dan Patrick's show, got to spend a big chunk of a day with Marky Mark because he was hanging out. That is as middle-aged dad man as you will ever find. He is. He was
Pull back
talking
the
about his
curtain.
interim fasting schedule, and he's like, "Man, I would really like some chicken right now, but I can't do it." And he's like in the commute, and he is. And by the way, such a nice celebrity. Oh my God, he was so cool to everybody.
Yeah. Everyone's on their best behavior, though, when they're around Dan
Wait, so
Patrick.
he's not like how he is in Entourage when he tells Turtle to stop acting like he wants to F Tom Brady?
No, he's kind of like that, but he's like
That's him being nice.
But he is not. You guys, what's the movie where the fighter?
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. I think he did some
Mickey
extensive
Ward?
boxing
Yeah.
training for that, so I do think he could kick your butt.
Yeah, probably.
For sure.
You
And
know-
also, it's like me. I mean, he could kill me.
Who's the person who is either an actor or something like that who has gotten the most like reputation off of a role they played?
The guy that played Debo.
Right, to
in
be a tough
Friday.
guy.
Yeah.
I was going to say Alex Trebek. I think people believe Alex Trebek knew all the answers, like they weren't written down on a card or something.
I saw through that right away.
Yeah, but he's good at it. He's a good pronunciator.
Because he's a trained actor.
Andy Lee in the Twitch chat says Stallone.
Stallone.
Yeah, Stallone
you kind of feel
got
like
a
Stallone
lot
lives
off
it.
of that.
Jason Statham seems like
Yeah.
he's as
Kick
cool
your
as he's in
butt.
the movies. Yeah.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves for me.
Lesser known, but what about Tom Sizemore? Doesn't he just seem like the ultimate tough guy?
That's a deep hole.
Well, he seems like a troubled person.
Yeah.
You see, because he's famous. Is he still with us? I think.
I don't actually think he is. Now that
Right.
you
He
think
had
about it.
he seemed like a mess in his movies and off of his movies.
Yeah. How about yesterday in the group chat when Pete Bellotti, who's not here with us this morning, so I hate to talk about him when he's not here.
Please do.
But we were making jury duty jokes because of Perloff at his expense, and Bellotti says, Judge Reinhold, we should have him on the show, and then follows up, he's an actor. We know.
Yeah.
Does Judge Reinhold, do you need to explain Judge Reinhold?
And
to some young people, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
You don't?
Yeah, he would have to explain that to me.
Yeah.
But then I knew.
Fast
who he
Times was 45 years ago or something.
Did you not see Beverly Hills Cop?
Or
I never watched
Beverly Hills Cop. That's 38 years old.
No, I didn't watch it.
You guys haven't seen Beverly Hills Cop?
No.
It's a great Eddie Murphy movie.
I was
What
born in
year-
1991, by the way.
What year do you think Beverly Hills Cop was, Maggie? It's coming back.
It was
by the
actually
way.
the first R-rated movie I've ever seen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All I know is the theme
86?
song.
Great.
Yeah, the theme song is. Yeah, I know the theme song too.
Well, Judge Reinhold's in it also.
now, am I messing this up? Was he also in Night Court, or is that somebody different?
No, that's someone different. I think.
By
He's
the way-
also the close talker in Seinfeld. Now we're going through Judge Reinhold.
Beverly Hills Cop coming back next summer.
With
It's been
Eddie?
it's been in the news a lot because Eddie's got a movie out now, so
Yeah.
there's all these pictures of him on set as Axel Foley. It's great.
Yes.
And I'm really excited. I want to go through the whole catalog now because of the new movie that's coming out next year.
I think the second one is actually better than the first, but that stays with my theme of I like sequels. But this is big because Axel Foley, the character's from Detroit and wears a Lions jersey, a jacket, and now that's appropriate again.
There's got to be a Dan Campbell or Jared Goff cameo
Fingers
happening.
crossed.
It's got
Not
to happen.
Goff.
You want Campbell?
Definitely.
Okay.
Or Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra, yeah. He's
Coolest
an LA
guy in
guy.
the league.
Totally forgetting the plot here. He moves to L.A. though, right? So I
Yeah.
assume he's in L.A.
Well, maybe he runs into Dan Campbell in
But he
LA.
hasn't been in Detroit in 40 years, according to the timeline.
Maybe he goes back to solve a murder.
Or even Amon-Ra St. Brown's from LA. These guys are famous. Dan Campbell finds his way in LA somehow, probably.
Or he gets into a fight with Sean McVay. It writes itself.
I mean, listen, if you're
There's
trying
that.
to sell movies these days, you need Detroit Lions in the movie, obviously. What are you guys talking about? I'm not sure. I think you guys are too into the NFL right now. I'm not sure what they're prioritizing the
coolest guy in
Lions.
the NFL. And
I love Amon-Ra
You saying he
St.
can't
Brown.
be in a Beverly Hills Cop sequel?
Wait, were there any athletes in the original Beverly Hills Cops?
I don't think so.
But the Lions were the Lions back then. If it wasn't Barry Sanders,
So you
it
could
would
have
be
thrown
nobody.
John Sally into that bad boy. That guy can act. He was in both. Wasn't he in all the bad boy movies?
Sally is super cool.
Yeah. All right, well, I think we got to the bottom of that.
Yeah, well, how on earth did we get to Beverly Hills Cop?
The NFL's playing in Sao Paulo, Brazil next year. It all makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
NFL owners also passing a resolution yesterday that teams must play an international game once every 4 years at least. That means we could end up with 8 games outside the U.S. every season as soon as 2025.
That's like jury duty for NFL teams. Like you get, oh, God, I got to go to Germany. Oh.
As for right now, Chargers, Raiders, kinda on Thursday Night Football. Vegas coming off that 3-0 loss to the Vikings. Disappointing LA no longer has Justin Herbert thanks to that broken finger. Keenan Allen's also out tonight with a heel injury. We told you earlier this week that NBC dropped Al Michaels from its playoff coverage. Now we tell you that Al Michaels is dropping Al Michaels from Amazon Prime tonight because this game sucks so much. He'll be there. The Phoenix Suns' big 3 goes one and done. It took until game 24 for Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal to finally play together because of injuries. They lost at home to the Nets 116-112. So Perloff has given up on them. Head coach Frank Vogel, a little more patience.
Not good enough to win the game, but we're going to stay positive. The first game with those 3 guys out there together, a lot of figuring it out. Guys figuring out when to be aggressive, when not to be aggressive, dealing with minutes restriction.
Booker scored 34. KD had 27. Beal put up 14. Giannis, a franchise record 64 points in the Bucks' 140-126 home win over the Pacers. It only took Giannis 28 field goal attempts to get there, so 64, the most points ever scored on less than 30 shots.
And no threes.
And no threes. Didn't hit a 3.
It's crazy.
24 field goals and 24 free throws, I think.
Sorry, I was going to say, ironically, the Pacers, they give up 1 million points, but they're actually the best in the NBA at not giving up threes. But this may be the worst matchup to have because Giannis doesn't need threes to score 64 points.
The latest Shohei Ohtani contract details an out clause based on ownership and the front office. If owner Mark Walter or President Andrew Friedman leaves the Dodgers, Ohtani apparently can get out of his contract. And a stunner in men's college hoops last night, number 25 Northwestern, a 24.5 point favorite, falls at home to Chicago State, 75-73. Those Cougars had never beaten a ranked team before, and I believe they are the only independent school in the nation this season. And of course, next year they play in the NAC, which is the Northeast Conference, which makes complete sense for Chicago State to play in.
Yes, not Midwest anything. Nope. That can't just join the Horizon League.
Come play Wagner in Staten Island.
We stumbled on this conversation about what actor or someone has benefited the most from a role they played that now they're associated with it. Ben Franklin's in our chat because, we have established people like that. Denzel, he said.
Oh, but which role?
Which role?
That's the problem
I
because
know.
he's got so many iconic
Is it
roles.
like Training Day?
No, he's
one
just a
thinks he's
good actor. That's because he's a good actor.
I mean, I think his ultimate role was Malcolm X, though.
Right, but do people think he's like a civil rights warrior?
I don't know.
I think he's a great orator. I think anything he says sounds powerful, even if it's very mundane things.
Yeah, right. Like Denzel's a serious person. If Denzel walks
if he
on the
was
street,
silly, it'd be.
If there's a fire drill and Denzel says to get out of the building, I'm getting out of the building. By the way, I have great news because I know you were worried about this, Maggie.
Yeah.
The whole Beverly Hills Cop cast is back. Judge Reinhold's going to be in the movie.
Yes.
Bronson Pinchot, who plays Surge, remember the guy who dresses Eddie Murphy? He's back. The guy who plays John Taggart is back. This is going to be great. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Kevin Bacon added to the cast.
Oh, phenomenal addition.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who played
Bogusch, you know-
Taggart, they keep saying that he's the former president. The running joke is wherever they go, they're like, this is former President Eisenhower. And they try to get in places because Axel is not like a superhero. He's just to get by on his guts and guile.
Yeah.
And they go into a strip club and they're like, this is former president.
Wait, Bogusch, you look like you don't know Beverly Hills Cop.
I confused Judge Reinhold and Harry Anderson in my head. Harry Anderson is the judge from Night Court, which is back on TV now for some reason.
I know, but Judge Reinhold was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Have you ever seen that?
That one I have seen 100%, yes.
It's a sad movie, by the way. It's like a
very
teen
depressing.
movie, but it's super depressing.
It's on Netflix now, so I watched it recently. It is.
Have your
a dark
daughters watched
movie.
it yet?
No, and I don't really want to. I mean,
It feels
it's a great
dated
movie.
a little.
It's very dated. It's got Sean Penn as Spicoli is great, but that's one that doesn't really. It's the really bad is those movies from Chicago, John Hughes movies. Those are dated, and those are as politically incorrect as humanly possible.
Just stay with Home Alone, which is also kind of weird.
And it's also politically incorrect.
Yeah.
My girlfriend was saying that Love Actually, which is not out not that long ago, also is super dated now.
Never seen it.
Really? I never saw it either, but apparently it's like the...
You guys have never seen Love Actually?
No.
No. And yeah, I got the same reaction.
I basically memorized the movie. I've seen, it's been on my wife has watched that 400 times.
Have you watched it recently?
Movie?
I have not watched it recently, but yeah, I mean, listen, when the guy's standing outside the door with the signs and it's an iconic movie. It's got Liam Neeson as a romantic guy.
Apparently the whole thing will get you canceled now.
Liam Neeson's another one.
Yes.
Who's really benefited off of his roles. If you saw him, you're like, oh no.
Well, if your kid gets taken, you call him.
He's got a particular set of skills. That's actually real. That's real.
Wait, thank you.
I got to find out in the break why Love Actually was canceled. It seems harmless in my memory, but I'm dying to know here.
It doesn't take much to get you canceled these days, but I don't know. I've never seen the movie. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. We will get to you. We promise. Also, coming up, we've got one big thing to tackle, and it's called the transfer portal. Perloff has the latest on all of the college football rumors. It's Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
There we go. If you were to pick the theme from Beverly Hills Cop or the theme from Knight Rider, and you could only have one, Carlos, maybe you can find Knight Rider for us, too.
You say that because I did.
Come on, of course I can.
When I was on a cruise this summer, I did that contest where it was a TV theme. You had to name the TV theme, and I got Knight Rider.
That too.
I got Knight Rider wrong. I thought it was Full House or something. Is that,
The Knight Rider was
no,
Full House?
Knight Rider, I thought was
He
something.
just turned around.
No, Knight Rider sounds exactly like another theme. Everybody got it wrong. They thought it was, I can't remember what show it was. It was 80s TV shows. We got to pull the tape. I told the whole story back in August, and people were bored then. But
Let's relive
that's
it.
another great topic. What movie has a more iconic song than the actual movie? And Axel F is close. There's certain movies where you're like, you know the song more than you actually know the movie.
Yeah, that's a good one. We'll do that one too. We were kind of stumbled on this conversation of what actor, or I said Alex Trebek, so game show host, like really benefited from the role they played. Like you actually thought Trebek was smart. Oh yeah, this one. I mean, Busta Rhymes like remixed this.
Oh, maybe I thought it was A-Team or something.
You thought this was Full House?
No. Full House. Everybody got Full House wrong, though, because it sounded like it was Growing Pains. And I got Full House and Growing Pains mixed up. But then Knight Rider, I think I thought was A-Team. I don't know.
I mean, that's not
That makes a little more sense.
By the way, you guys you've never seen Knight Rider in your lives. You probably would.
I know the Full House theme.
If the Knight Rider
Did not even sound like Knight Rider.
If Knight Rider pulled up in front of the building
like this.
By the way, if Knight Rider pulled up right in front of the building, you guys wouldn't even know it was Knight Rider. Camaro with lights in the front. So don't tell me about Knight Rider.
The car was Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World. Of course I know it.
The car I would know. No, that's cap.
I'd like to think I would know the car just because of the amount of clothing it was like on. Like we had like themed. My brother had like Knight Rider shirts. And
But you
stuff.
understand what I'm saying? You guys weren't even alive when that show came out. That show ended in 1988 or something. Didn't
I
it?
was 3. The tail end.
Okay.
A-Team I did not catch. That for some reason I knew what it was because of Mr. T.
A-Team, this song is bum 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 bum.
Yeah, that you're right.
I don't know. Yeah, whatever. I can't believe I lost
Certainly
that
not
quiz
Knight Rider.
contest.
Jerry is in Houston. He's got one for us. Hey, Jerry, how are you?
How you doing? Doing good. Thank you, guys.
Who's the actor who benefited from the roles they played? Like their reputation.
I'll give you a hint. Yippee-ki-yay.
John McClane. Bruce Willis.
Yes.
Definitely.
You're so right. Jerry, thank you for that one. Everyone thinks Bruce Willis is total 100% badass. No clue what he's really like.
Yeah, when I was overseas this August,
Yeah.
there's all these posters of him but doing this sort of Czechoslovakian energy drink where he's got his sleeves cut off and he's holding the drink. Tough guy, Bruce. Unfortunately, he's had some health problems lately.
Yeah, it's not
But,
doing well now.
No, I understand that Bruce Willis, he'll get you out of a hostage situation. The actor too.
So Bruce himself. So when I was at the Floyd Mayweather Conor McGregor fight in Las Vegas, I had the pleasure of attending that live, and I was sitting in the press area, and all of a sudden here comes Bruce Willis, and he's walking in front of us. There was like a little bit of a walkway, and he's walking literally, I could touch him if I put my hand out. And he walks by, and someone just yells out, McClane! And without missing a beat, he goes, yippee-ki-yay, mother. It was like, it was perfect. I'm like, he probably gets that about 100 times a day.
Probably why he's one of the GOATs.
LeBron was there.
A lot of GOAT energy.
There's a lot of GOAT energy in the room.
Floyd Mayweather was boxing a non-boxer.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Aaron Paul was there, sitting behind us. It's like he couldn't get a better seat. Anyway, more guys. CeCe Sabathia. I actually was CeCe there, something like that.
Should we call housekeeping for the name dropping that's happening here?
Yeah, I did it.
Aaron Paul was behind me.
Dude, I've got a Bruce Willis story now forever.
That is actually a good Bruce Willis story. Not as good as my Czechoslovakian energy drink Bruce Willis story.
Let's put
I think it's a tie.
Whose Bruce Willis story was better? Perloff with the Czechoslovakian energy drink, or Maggie seeing Bruce Willis at the Mayweather Conor McGregor fight?
Yeah, I mean, you'd expect Bruce Willis to be at the Mayweather Conor McGregor fight. Do you expect to pull into Prague and see Bruce Willis in your face?
Yes, I do. I'm surprised it wasn't on the poster with
Did you try to drink?
Oh, yeah. Did you try the energy drink?
No. You kidding me? One sip of that thing. And
Makes you want to run through a plate glass window.
You like your liver.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's been approved legally internationally, that drink.
So much more to do, including the future for one NFL coach. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can run the 40 faster than Tom Brady. He got a perfect score on the Wonderlic. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. New morning show here on CBS Sports Radio. Lot of coaching news going on in the NFL right now, Perloff. And so for that, we turn to a Super Bowl winning head coach, Brian Billick, on the line now, joining us on behalf of X-Tech Pads, which we will get to. Coach, thanks so much for the time. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Same to you. So we want to pick your brain a little bit, go behind the scenes on some coaching stuff. But first, let's start with the Chiefs and what they're going through now with Kadarius Toney. So how would you handle this if you were Andy Reid? You've got a player who made a horrible mistake, cost you the game. He's done these kind of things before. However, he did also help you win a Super Bowl last year and scored in that Super Bowl. How do you handle this moving forward? Can you actually trust him in a big spot again?
Well, first off, you have to make that decision. Is it chronic enough that we as an organization got to think about, well, maybe we should do something different? But my guess is that they look at it from the standpoint of, you hear it every time after a very close loss, and maybe a kicker misses a field goal or someone drops a pass in the end zone that would have won the game. The first thing the coach and the players say, well, there were a lot of other plays leading up to that it wasn't just that play. Now, certainly this was a particularly dramatic example, but you want to support the players and basically do whatever you can to help them refine that focus, saying, look, we believe in you. We're going to put you in there. We need you. But now you've got to take that next step. You've got to help us help you, so to speak, in terms of what is it you need to do to not make these mistakes. And you got to go back and look, is there a pattern to this? Is there certain situations where he tends to make these mistakes, to see if you can give him something, even if it's a placebo, that says, okay, well, we're going to do something different here. We're going to not put you in this specific situation to try to help him get past this, what really is just a mental block.
Coach, do you think they should have made the call in that situation late in the game, Kansas City, Buffalo?
You know, it's one of those things. I'm sure even the official, once they threw the penalty and then saw the intending play, thought, oh, God, this is not going to be good. Because, no, even the officials, they don't want to affect the game that way. But this was not one of those subjective, pass interference, holding. You're either offsides or you're not. You either stepped out of bounds or you didn't. And for the official, they had no idea what the next play was going to be. The guy lined up all sides. You got to throw it. Had they not thrown it and the ensuing play and it was a touchdown, then you clearly could have had Buffalo coming back going, oh, boy, the state of the officials in the NFL is terrible. Look, they missed this call. This should have been. So it's one of those unfortunate things. You don't want it called. But at the end of the day, I mean, the official, what do you want them to do? He just stepped out of bounds a little bit. You got to make that call.
Brian Billick is a Super Bowl champion head coach. He joins us now on behalf of X-Tech Pads. Coach, your former team, the Ravens, does this look like a Super Bowl year to you?
Boy, it's sure looking that way, doesn't it? Now, we still have a lot of games to play, and they've got a couple of tough games coming up, obviously, with Jacksonville and then the big one with the 49ers. We're going to find out a lot about them and a lot of other teams over the next couple of weeks. But right now, they clearly look in the AFC like the most complete team, playing really great defense, running the ball obviously well, which they're always going to do with Lamar Jackson, and they're throwing the ball well. They're coming up with explosive plays. And they're doing it on the road. So, everybody else, there are going to be some challengers. There's some really good teams. Miami looked like they're going to maybe challenge a little bit there, although they had a tough loss against the Titans. Buffalo seems to have a little momentum. Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, you can't count them out. But they're not as explosive as they've been. So everybody else that's going to challenge them right now has just a few warts that you look at and go, well, this will be the reason they don't do it. And not that can't happen for Baltimore, but boy, they look like the best team in the AFC right now.
Yesterday, there was a big controversy on Sports Talk Radio and social media. Cam Newton, former NFL quarterback, called Dak Prescott a game manager. And everybody took that as an unfair insult because Dak's in the MVP race. When I say a quarterback is a game manager to you, is that necessarily an insult?
Well, it's meant, if it's meant as a compliment, what it says is you're a smart quarterback that doesn't make mistakes and knows how to perform in the big moments. Unfortunately, a lot of people look at it as, well, that means you're really not that good. You're surrounded by a really great team, and you're winning by playing defense and running the ball, and you're just not getting in the way. And there have been some guys like that. I don't know that I would put Dak Prescott in that category. I mean, he has matured to where he's doing the right things in the big moments, but this is a guy that is projected on almost a 600 throw year to have 70% completion percentage. He's on a 37-8 touchdown to interception ratio. That's a little bit more than the proverbial game manager.
So you obviously won a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer, who a lot of people point to as style of quarterback that can win a Super Bowl. Was Trent a game manager? Is that a fair label for him?
Yeah, it was a different time, and it was a different time for Trent in his career. But certainly, I mean, we were so dominant defensively. We ran the ball well, and he was the ultimate game manager. And I say that in the most complimentary way, because he understood, look, this is the way we're going to win. We're not going to win throwing the ball over the field. We're not going to win games, 28-25. We're going to win tight games with tight margins. And if you're going to win with tight margins, you need to minimize the mistakes. And Trent was a master of that. He understood that, particularly as we got to the latter part of the season, was making a playoff run. Certainly, you got to make big plays. You can't just, sit back and rely totally on the defense. But you got to be prudent about what you're doing. And Trent was the perfect quarterback for us at the time with that team that was just so dominant defensively.
How hard was that for you as a coach? Because you had so much offensive success in Minnesota. Did you have to slow yourself down offensively?
Absolutely. I had to make a sea change. I mean, I was an offensive guy that felt like, even though I knew we were really good on defense, that you had to have a certain level of offensive productivity. Not just to win games, but to go on and win a Super Bowl. And it wasn't until about the mid part of the season that I looked at the landscape of what was going on in the NFL, just how dominant we were defensively, and the fact that we could run the ball so effectively. Getting comfortable with the idea that, you talk about a game manager as a quarterback. I was a game manager as a coach. That, as unambitious as it sounds, was, I think we can win a Super Bowl this way. So we have to be very strategic about what we want to do offensively in playing to the strength of this single season greatest defense in the history of the league. It took a little while for me to catch up with that and actually orchestrate many of my calls and the platform of what we were doing around that.
Brian Billick is joining us. He's a Super Bowl champion head coach, of course, on behalf of X-Tech Pads. It's like the 2000 Ravens, the 85 Bears are like the shorthand for great defenses. And everyone loves to say, oh, they look like the Ravens. Oh, they look like the 2000 Ravens. Has anyone come close to looking like the 2000 Ravens, in your opinion? Any defense right now?
No. I mean, that's like saying, is anybody as beautiful as my daughters? No. Obviously I'm biased, but that was a truly unique, and there's some really good defenses, don't get me wrong, but that all-time defensive scoring record that we broke, I don't think will ever be broken for a lot of different reasons. The number of games now, and obviously the rules are bent that way. I will also say that was also at a time where we were kind of in a void, or we were in a lapse of outstanding quarterback play. We were transitioning from Montana's and the Marinos and the Elways and the like, had not yet come into the Peyton Mannings and the Bradys and the Drew Breeses and that stint. And so our championship, Tampa's, I think the next year, or New England's, that 3-year stint, all based on really, really good defense. But that combination plus that team was just so at every level, defensive line, linebackers, back end, across the board. I've been in this game a long time, man and boy, and it's the best single season defense I've ever seen.
Tom Brady said he thinks the league is mediocre now as compared to when he first got into the league. Do you agree with that?
I don't know. I think Tom's about my age, right? I'm 70. I think Tom's kind of fallen into that old man syndrome of, in the day we used to. No, I think the play in the NFL is outstanding. I think we're as in deep of great quarterback play as we have ever been. Now, obviously, the nature of the game has changed a little bit because of the rule changes. And so that may be a little, like I was saying, a little of the old man syndrome of, in the old day we used to do it this and that. It was tougher and whatever. But no, and certainly by the ratings and the way they keep extending it, its popularity is as big as it has ever been. So I'm going to disagree with Tom on that. I think it's playing at a high level. I think we've gotten used to a high level of play in the NFL. And so from that standpoint, it may feel like, well, yeah, this is kind of the same it's been. Yeah, and what's been is pretty darn good.
I think Al Michaels would probably disagree with you tonight about the great quarterback play when we're getting Easton Stick against Aiden O'Connell, but I get your point.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, one reason, of course, and I'm going to let you get a plug in here, is the equipment is better. The pads are lighter, so guys are flying around at a ridiculous speed. Of course, I know X-Tech pads well. I've done the demonstration. X-Tech pads where Bob Broderick, our buddy, puts it on your hand and hits you with a hammer several times, and they don't weigh anything. Can you talk about X-Tech, Coach?
Yeah, really proud of it. It's been over 10 years now, and it's literally Bob Broderick kind of started out of the back of his garage and back of his car. And, we're the number one pad in professional football, number one pad in major league, major college football, high school football now, working our way down into the youth pads, which I'm thrilled to death because I got two grandsons that are playing youth football. It's the best pad. It's the protection we have to have. You got to take the head out of the game. Pads hadn't changed in 50 years. Big guys had big pads and little guys had little pads. These are now almost form-fitted because of the database we have based on your height, weight, injury, the level you play at, the position you play at. And it's the best protect. This is a great game, but this is a very violent and very difficult game. And I can promise you my grandsons are going to be in X-Tech pads because it's the best protection we have for our players. Everybody's always asking me, why do we have so many quarterback injuries right now? Well, it's because the quarterbacks are exposing themselves to more hits than they used to in the old days. The Tom Brady's, the Peyton Mannings were masters at getting rid of the ball before they were going to take a hit. Well, today's quarterback is outside the pocket, inside the pocket, extending the play. They're getting more hits. So X-Tech pads is the way to go.
Yeah, you always see it when the guys are trading jerseys at the end of the game and they take off the jersey and then there's the X-Tech pads. Last one for you, Coach, and thanks for doing this. Coach Brian Billick, Super Bowl champion, of course. We could be coming to the end of an era here if you believe the reports that Bill Belichick and the Patriots are maybe parting ways at the end of the season. Do you think that he would coach after this? Should he go coach, or do you just, call it a career with the Patriots, or do you think he could still help another team?
Oh, well, there's no question. I mean, this is a slam dunk Hall of Fame coach. Okay, that's undisputed. The question becomes, and certainly could he help any team, his existing team or going someplace else? Absolutely. Does he want to? At some point, Bill's older than I am, and I give him great credit for hanging on to that passion and wanting, but clearly, New England looks like it's maybe in a rebuild mode, that they're going to have to take a dramatic step, get a quarterback. Do you really want to jump on with that? Now, having said that, this is all Bill has done his entire professional life. I mean, he went into pro football immediately out of high school, and this is all he has done. He seems to have that laser focus for it. If the desire is there, then clearly he can still do it. Does he want to? Does he need a new venue? Maybe. Maybe that would energize Bill, and maybe that would energize the franchise. But that's a hard thing to do after having all the success you've had for 20 some odd years. So this is going to be a very tough personal call. My guess is, whether it's there or someplace else, Bill's going to want to continue to coach.
Can you see him in TV?
I can't. Mumbling through these types of events and for 3 hours on TV and simply at every question saying, well, I'm just focused on the next game. I don't know. And I can't say I know Bill that well. It's not like we're close personal friends. I don't know that he would enjoy the TV process. And I don't know that that's suited for him.
This is not exactly like Brian Billick's Ravens teams on Hard Knocks, just really entertaining us very, very much. Coach, again, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Congratulations on all the success with X-Tech, and I'm sure you're probably feeling pretty good about your Ravens right now, so good luck to them, too.
So far, so good.
There we go.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach Brian Billick. There you are. Yeah, Bill would have to get like a voice coach.
Bill Belichick, everyone says he's so funny off camera. I've heard that a million times.
That's a lie.
I don't know, though. I have heard he turns it on and off.
This is like when people say supermodels are really funny. It's like they're not.
I do think
Except for Chrissy Teigen.
I think Bill Belichick is unbelievably careful about not letting his personality go on camera. I think maybe there's more there.
Right. Well, if you want to be on television, you got to have a good personality.
Well, it's funny because Nick Saban wants to do television. He flirts with television all the time.
Yeah.
Belichick never has. But Nick Saban doesn't seem to have a great personality either. He's kind of stiff.
Well, again, voice coaches.
I think Nick Saban totally opens up on television, and I would just love to see. Belichick was good when he did that Rich Eisen, Chris Collinsworth top 100.
Yeah.
He was way better.
That was also right in his wheelhouse.
Right in his wheelhouse, exactly.
But here, when Bill Belichick smiles, I always said it looks like he's looking into the sun. It doesn't come naturally to him.
He was pretty good on game day. I mean, he
But on the helmet.
Oh, I didn't watch that at Navy. Yeah, that's his wheel. He loves Navy football more than he loves the Patriots. I'm serious. He talks about that. His dad coached there. That's a big deal to him.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, appreciate Brian Billick there. On Thursdays, we've been doing this thing called the Multiverse of Maggie and Perloff. We take a what if that could have happened in sports, little sliding door situation. Actually, last week we did what if Tom Brady never left New England, and that was pretty fun. Today, we've got another football-inspired one for you, so don't move. More Maggie and Perloff, M&P on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. All right, Maggie, you know what time it is. Little multiverse action.
Exploring sports' biggest what-ifs and could-have-beens. Let's dive into the multiverse of Maggie and Perloff.
Again, I'm just learning what a multiverse is, but I like it.
It's a thing that ruined the Marvel movies.
I've been told. So last week we brought you what if Tom Brady had never left New England, right? Never went to the Bucs. I thought they would have won another Super Bowl. Perloff thinks they would have never made the playoffs again and still been mediocre. Today we tackle another question inspired by tonight's Thursday night football game, which is, granted, tough to get inspiration from a Chargers-Raiders game tonight. But the question is, what would have happened if Eli Manning had just played for the Chargers? If he never pulled the power play of saying, I'm not going to play for the team, forcing his way to the New York Giants, what would have happened if Eli Manning had stayed a Charger?
Well, I'm going to go way, way, way down the road. One thing that would have happened is all you Yankee fans around here, Juan Soto would not be a Yankee right now.
Juan Soto wouldn't have been a Yankee if Eli Manning had been a Charger.
Eli Manning would have begun the San Diego sports revolution, and the Padres could have even more money because Eli clearly had Tom Brady's number, and the one thing the Chargers under Philip Rivers could not do was beat Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Eli would have found a way in San Diego at the time to beat the Patriots. Then the Chargers never leave for L.A., and everything is coming up. There's more revenue in San Diego. It's a sports town first, and basically the Chargers are known as not a dynasty, but kind of like the Giants are, a Super Bowl team. I think Eli would have done it there.
Oh, my gosh, I could not disagree with you more. I think that Eli Manning would have been and also ran. I don't think Eli Manning could have ever elevated the Chargers. I mean, if Philip Rivers, who was traded for Eli that fateful night back in 2004, Rivers is a much more talented quarterback than Eli Manning.
If
Rivers couldn't do it, Eli Manning couldn't do it. Eli Manning has, yes, 2 all-time unbelievable playoff runs, but you're telling me you put him in the AFC where he would have had to face Tom a lot more, his brother a lot more, and other good quarterbacks in the AFC, Ben Roethlisberger at the time. Eli Manning's not doing jack squat.
The team around Philip Rivers was better than the team around Eli Manning. So you're saying that Eli would have done less with a better team? I mean, that Chargers team was stacked. They were totally loaded. They had LaDainian Tomlinson. They had wide receivers everywhere. They had a great O-line. They had a great defense. What? I don't understand.
Well, they had LaDainian Tomlinson, and Eli still said no thank you. I mean...
Yeah, because the ownership was crazy. But regardless, though, you can't say that he wouldn't elevate them like Philip Rivers did because the team around them was really good, better than the Giants.
I'm saying if Philip Rivers couldn't elevate them, I don't know how Eli Manning was going to elevate them. Like Eli Manning, is, again, 2 all-time great historic runs, never won a playoff game outside of those 2 runs. This was not like, he himself, was start every game, was like an Iron Man, but he was not consistent enough. It would not have worked. I actually think you would have had Ben Roethlisberger most likely as the quarterback, right, of your New York Giants, and maybe the Giants win more Super Bowls with Ben Roethlisberger there. Now, Andrew Bogusch is a big Giants fan. I don't know if this is slander for you.
The Giants were not that good a team. I mean, Ben was on a way better Steelers team than Eli was with the Giants, and Philip Rivers had a much, much better team with the Chargers than Eli's Giants were a pretty average team. They had a great defensive line, and that's about it.
Bogusch, would you care to get in on this? What would have happened?
Yeah, this is a deep one. And it's odd to be in a room where I understand the multiverse more than anybody else. Usually I'm the one bringing up the rear on this front.
Hey.
Oh, hey, Carlos. Good to see you.
What?
What? Usually I'm the dummy on this front. But I'm talking about these two, not you guys.
Oh.
Yeah. That's a different.
Wait.
You're in a different room. I mean, clearly, guys. You're
Wait. What a sci-fi multiverse is? Or you're saying this particular Eli Manning one?
No. Like the multiverse in general.
Yes.
Oh, dude, I know multiverse. My daughter's a huge Marvel fan. I've seen every stupid DC Marvel multiverse. I saw the Flash steal the multiverse from Marvel. Yeah, I know. I know Kang.
So I'm at least
I know
ahead of
He
Maggie.
Remains. I'm way ahead of you, dude. I'm as big a nerd as EJ almost.
I'm still on how Perloff thinks that Eli Manning would have elevated San Diego sports when they had, Tony Gwynn. But yes, go on.
Well, and also, Philip Rivers is a better quarterback. If Eli goes there, we probably live in a world where we go, Eli's holding back LaDainian Tomlinson and Antonio Gates and whomever. That he's not good enough to get them over the hump.
Oh, wait. So I'm just curious. Philip Rivers' record in the postseason against Tom Brady, Eli Manning's record against Tom Brady?
No. Eli found himself in 2 unique situations. I don't know that anybody else win. Like, everything had to be perfect on 2 different occasions from the win Super Bowls, and they did. I don't know that Roethlisberger's any different because there wasn't a great team, either one of those teams that won Super Bowls. It just, the universe wanted them to win those 2 times, and they didn't mess it up. So it was a perfect scenario.
Michael Strahan, farewell, and they had that incredible defensive front.
Yeah.
And then the second time, I think, again, the defense came through. Eli had an incredible pass to Mario Manningham. Like, I don't know. It's just those Super Bowls were so touch and go. They were both so, 2 all-time great plays, the David Tyree helmet catch and the Mario Manningham.
And how much did the Giants win the Super Bowls have to do with how much Steve Spagnuolo owned, quite frankly, the Patriots offense and how they dominated those games. The Chargers defense had so many issues with Tom Brady in the playoffs, whether it be playing in San Diego or playing on the road. Eli would not have had the benefit of having a defense that would have been able to shut down Patriots offense the way Eli did when he was with the Giants.
One thing you got to give Eli, though, Eli did not feel a lot of pressure in the fourth quarter of those Super Bowls. For whatever reason, his offensive line? He was a pretty cool customer in clutch.
He had ice water.
Yeah, he had so he had that just like Tom Brady did. So that's one thing Eli had. We never actually got to see Philip Rivers in that kind of moment. And Big Ben was pretty good in that kind of moment, too. He was a good fourth quarter quarterback. But we don't know. The Super Bowl, the fourth quarter, we never saw Rivers do that. How do you know he would step up?
I think, but this guy played on a torn ACL in one of those playoff games.
Yep.
I don't know. I think that in a different circumstance, we would have seen him really rise to those occasions.
I tell you what, I mean, even though he's got the famous last name, you talk about Eli Manning in the Hall of Fame, it can be, you're going to get different opinions on that. Even though he is a 2-time Super Bowl champ, he's definitely not going in if he's with the San Diego Chargers.
Correct.
Because I don't think he's elevating them.
If he wins 2 Super Bowls, he's in.
But he's not.
Well, why? I don't understand. Like, so you're saying Eli could win with a worse. You guys will all admit the Giants were worse than the Chargers. There's no elevation necessary. You have Hall of Famers all over your line.
But we saw that the Chargers were clearly not a good matchup for the Patriots. The Patriots whooped the Chargers. Yeah. And I don't think anyone here agrees that Phil Rivers was a less talented quarterback than Eli Manning. He was much more talented.
But how do you?
It was just a bad matchup.
But there's no elevation here because the Chargers didn't need elevating. They just needed a guy who come in and play point guard. The Giants needed elevating.
So the other part is, I think, the road to the Super Bowl. While granted, Eli, again, the Giants had 2 all-timers going into Green Bay and beating Favre and beating Rodgers. Like, I get that, but it would have been so much harder in the AFC at that time. Again, we mentioned the quarterbacks, Brady, his own brother, Ben Roethlisberger. It's like that would have, if everyone was in the AFC, like if Ben wasn't on the Giants, if he was still on an AFC team, I think that road is hard.
Really? I think the NFC
Tony Romo, no offense, and Jeff Garcia.
Who's he playing in
the
NFC?
Well, I mean, first of all, he probably would have had to beat the Patriots and the Packers in 2 games. And guess who? It would have been the same path. He would have had to get past Belichick, and he would have had to get past Favre or Rodgers.
Is he beating Brian Billick in the Ravens? Is he beating the Steelers? Is he beating?
I don't know.
Those are great teams.
Guys, this idea that the AFC was dominant in the 2000s and 2010s is just not true.
Well, we're talking about the quarterbacks,
in the playoffs, yes. We could get a team of 22 guys right now to beat those Colts teams. That's not a great playoff team.
Well, Drew Brees, that would have been a legitimate one, obviously, because Brees, then another multiverse move. Brees was a Charger, but then ended up going to New Orleans. Okay.
I mean, the NFC, I think, won more Super Bowls in this era that we're talking about. Anyway, it's not like the AFC was not. The AFC was not that much better than the NFC. That's a false narrative. Now it is, but back then it wasn't.
Who were the great teams in the NFC during this time?
Who were the great quarterbacks?
Well, who are the great teams in the AFC at this time?
The Patriots.
Chargers.
The
we're
Ravens
talking about.
at times.
Ravens. That's the
They're all
5
tough
teams.
outs.
Yeah,
the Chiefs with Priest Holmes and Trent Green. Those were 13-win teams.
I just think there was tons of good teams in the NFC back then. Those are not great teams you guys are talking about. Those Philip Rivers Chargers teams, how many Super Bowls did they win?
Well, the Chargers would have also been worse because, remember, out of that trade, they also got Sean Merriman out of that deal. They drafted him the next year. They didn't get Nate Kading because of that deal. So they got a bunch of players that were drafted because of that Eli trade that they wouldn't have had. So the Chargers would have been fundamentally worse than the team that Philip Rivers already had.
They had LT.
Yeah, they did.
That Giants team was not great either.
They
caught fire for sure.
You talk about
they had smart GMs. Chargers made a lot of good picks.
But you talk about Sean Merriman's impact and saying, well, they had LT. Well, you talk about Peyton Manning. Guess why Peyton Manning lost a playoff game one time? Because Sean Merriman took over a playoff game in Indianapolis and they bounced the Colts. You wouldn't have Sean Merriman on the Colts. On the Chargers if you drafted Eli Manning.
Yeah. But wait, if the AFC was so much dominant, why weren't they winning the Super Bowl every year?
They were. The Patriots won a million Super Bowls. What are you talking about?
Right.
Well, I mean,
the Steelers won one.
No, but okay, if you get past the 05, when Eli was in his prime, I mean, the Giants won, the Packers won, the Cardinals lost by inch to the
AFC team.
Won.
I just tell you, the Seahawks won. There were a lot of it was dead even. The NFC was not behind the AFC in this era at all.
I think what's interesting is we talk about that. I think the Super Bowl is one game. Anyone can kind of win one game. And I think it's your road there, like your path. How much harder is it for one conference as opposed to another conference? And I'm not taking anything from Eli. He won all those games on the road, went into Green Bay, went into San Francisco. He won those games, but the better quarterbacks were in the AFC.
Right, because you could have the best team can be from one conference, and the next best 6 teams can be from the other, and therefore the other
it's
one.
Like now,
yeah,
right? If everyone is healthy.
I like to see the numbers on this. So you think all those teams in the AFC were dominant? They were not. You just described a bunch of flawed teams. Peyton Manning's Colts.
Okay, so the Cowboys were flawed.
Mean?
They've been flawed for decades. They're still flawed.
They haven't won jack.
Honestly, the Giants struggled in the NFC and kicked the AFC's butt in 2 Super Bowls. The Saints beat the Colts were not as great a team as you think they were, guys. I'm just telling you, back then, I was there. You just waiting for them to get to the postseason with Peyton. You were just waiting for them. They beat up on
how many Hall of
the
Famers
bottom of the
on
AFC
that
was
offense?
so bad.
How many Hall of Famers played on those Coast teams? How many?
I would say Peyton, Marvin Harrison.
Edgerrin James is in the Hall of Fame.
Edgerrin James.
Reggie Wayne's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Dwight Freeney is.
Jeff Saturday could be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. You have to understand.
Tony Dungy's.
Bob Sanders is all pro.
Look at the Colts competition on a yearly basis. Look at the teams that they were playing against. Look at their division.
Looking at the division, but look at the other teams.
They had all these expansion teams. Okay, if that team was so great, how come they won 1 Super Bowl?
Because they're going against Tom Brady, which we're trying to tell you.
And other good AFC teams like the Steelers.
And the Chargers, and the Chiefs, and those other great teams.
It wasn't I'm telling you, it wasn't so imbalanced. Nobody came in the season saying the AFC is going to dominate the NFC. That just was not a narrative because the NFC was loaded too. They had a lot of good teams. I mean, they had, the Packers, the Cowboys. I mean, the Seahawks came up in Eli's time. The Niners were great during Eli's time. There are a lot of really good teams.
The Cowboys? Really?
But they were a really talented team, yeah. I mean, towards the end.
You can't count the Cowboys and not count the Colts.
Right, that's
that does not compute.
But you're saying in 2009, everyone's like, oh my God, the AFC is so dominant, the NFC doesn't have a chance. That was not a thing at all. It really was.
The bottom of the Giants put an undefeated team that might have been the greatest of all time, one of those Super Bowls from the AFC.
Right, because the AFC,
people were pretty
the bottom of the
Patriots
AFC
that year.
was so bad.
We're not talking about the bottom of the AFC. We're talking about
So
the
I'm just saying,
We're talking about the path to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you could easily get 14 teams because you were beating crap in the AFC. You were beating expansion teams and AFC East teams, and the Raiders were terrible. And, like, there were a lot of bottom feeders in the AFC.
Right. There's also an expansion team in the NFC because that same thing happened. And you're also talking about teams that were just really inconsistent.
Right. The Lions sucked the entire time.
They had no
the Commanders,
Redskins
sucked.
The Bears were also another really good team, by the way. They had a lot of good years as well.
Wait, so you're going to tell me the Bears were great, and they got their ass kicked by the Colts?
No, but it was a good team. They were a good team. I'm saying there were a lot of good teams. The bottom of the AFC was terrible. You had so many bad teams.
But come on,
the teams that Brady beat.
The bottom of both conferences are bad.
No. It was definitely worse in the AFC because they were dealing with a lot of expansion stuff.
But we're talking about the top. Right, because you're talking
but I'm
about
telling you, the reason the Colts had 14 wins every game is because they're playing a lot of Texans, a lot of Jaguars.
The Chargers aren't playing AFC South. They're playing AFC West. So they're going up against John Gruden. They're going up against Trent Dilfer and Trent Green and
the
Raiders
Chiefs fell apart.
Right.
In Eli's
the
time,
Chiefs were really good. They had Priest Holmes.
They were okay. I mean, what's the farthest they ever got in the playoffs in Eli's?
Because they were losing to Peyton Manning. That's my point. You keep saying, well, this team didn't go far. I'm like, well, they lost to Tom Brady. Why didn't this team do well? Well, they lost to Peyton Manning. Why didn't this team do well? Well, they lost to the Chargers. Doesn't that say that there's a lot of parity, that there are a lot of good teams in the AFC?
It's funny, though. I could think of one quarterback and one team that did not lose to Tom Brady. And he was in the NFC. And his name is Eli Manning.
Right. And that's what we're saying. But would Eli Manning, if the question is, if Eli Manning had went to the Chargers, would he still have the success? Would he have elevated the Chargers? And I think what the point we're trying to make is, it seems like we're all ganging up against you. We're not.
Oh, yeah, it kind of seems that way. It's millennials.
The
millennial army here coming up against me, always right about everything.
The harder path, he would have had a harder path than he had. So even if he met Tom Brady, do you think that Eli Manning, he went 2-0 against Brady in the Super Bowls? Do you think if they met 6 times in the postseason, what do you think the record was going to be? Again,
based on
6-0, like that, it doesn't hold up.
But he would have won 2. But what?
He's going to Foxborough and beating them.
Yeah,
he's beating them in sunshine or domes. Actually, those are 2 dome games.
Now, Eli was a good cold weather player.
Yeah, he did win the games in Green Bay. But I would think that if they somehow were in the same bracket and they're playing anywhere short of the Super Bowl, the Patriots win those 2 games.
But
I think it was the perfect storm.
I'm not totally sure I understand. So Eli Manning could beat them in the Super Bowl, where the Patriots are presumably bringing the right game, but he never would have beaten them in the divisional round.
Because those games, those 2 months of 5-week stretches were so nonsensical. I don't think they translate to any other scenario.
Well, it's also not neutral field. You're assuming that the Patriots would have had home field advantage, so you're not on a neutral field there. And I think also...
But the Patriots won in San Diego, too. I think one AFC title game was there.
True.
So how do we know that wouldn't happen? I don't know. You're lying. I understand what you guys are saying, but this idea that Eli could not have won with a better team is just a little illogical, because the Chargers were a better team than the Giants.
I agree with that. But again, don't you think that matchups have anything to do with this? Because again, that Chargers defense had no answers for Tom Brady and those games. It's not like Eli Manning had to score 30, 40 points. Look at his stats in those games. They're not
like he was throwing for 21 to 19
yards.
or whatever.
All he had to do was just not turn the ball over and make one big drive down the stretch. Phillip Rivers had to do a hell of a lot more to have any chance to beat those Patriots teams. So you're telling me Eli Manning would have been able to play better than he did in those Super Bowls to beat the Patriots in the playoffs, perhaps on the road.
Yeah. Also, too, the Chargers-Patriots games were, I don't think they were quite what you think they were. They were low-scoring defensive games, weren't they? Weren't they like a battle? I don't remember them being total blowouts, and I thought they were really close. One was 2008, which I think was the best San Diego team. They lost 21-12 to Belichick, and I remember that was a physical just war. That Belichick was really good at slowing down the game too back then, because he didn't really have the weapons of the Chargers. Anyway.
There we go. It's a good question. The multiverse of Maggie and Perloff. What would have happened if Eli Manning had stayed with the Chargers? And we just found an interesting angle for a Chargers-Raiders game tonight featuring Easton Stick and Aiden O'Connell. Andrew Bogusch, we left you about 30 seconds for headline.
It's an indefinite suspension for Draymond Green for hitting Yusuf Nurkic with a used Toyota Tercel 2 nights ago. The announcement says Green must satisfy team and league requirements before returning to the court. The Warriors have yet to issue a statement on this decision. We're expecting to hear from them later today at shoot-around ahead of tonight's game with the Clippers. Victor Wembanyama let the Spurs down again last night. Just 30 points, 13 boards, and 6 blocks. But it wasn't enough. His team needed a tying 3 with 12 seconds left, but Wemby missed and was called for an offensive foul for sticking out his leg trying to draw a foul.
The first option was me getting the ball at the 3
and you missed. And now your team's franchise record losing streak extends to 18. But at least they're not the Pistons. Their skid is 21 after a 129-111 home loss to the Sixers. Joel Embiid scored 41.
By the way, is LeBron okay?
Bruised left calf. He'll be back.
It's a calf contusion. I'm worried. Bruised left calf, huh?
Yeah.
That must have been painful.
Well,
that sounds a little bit like load management to me.
You were worried about his minutes after the in-season tournament.
Yeah,
so he's taking care of that.
After the in-season tournament, he's got a calf contusion. Oh, boy.
That actually, they used that pre-IST to get ready for it as well. So they're bookending. The calf's going to be, that's the injury du jour, apparently, for LeBron right
No,
now.
you got to, that's smart. You got to plant the seed on the why.
This time last week, we weren't sure if Zach Wilson wanted to play for the Jets, and Tommy DeVito was signing hoagies in Jersey delis. Now the New York QBs are the offensive players of the week in their respective conferences. DeVito also getting the late-night TV treatment.
When your man throws a bomb but still lives with his mom, that's DeVito. When he has quite the arm and wolfs down chicken parm, that's DeVito.
That's Jimmy Fallon singing while dressed as DeVito's agent, Sean Stellato.
Hey, I'm throwing over here.
Wait, did DeVito come out?
I don't know if he came out, but this is a clip of I saw Fallon singing this with the pinstripe suit and the black fedora, and he's holding a chicken parm hero, and he's on the phone like Stellato was on the field pregame Monday night.
Wow. And the lean in is leaning. It's like Sheryl Sandberg level.
And Clayton Kershaw said yesterday he has not yet made up his mind about re-signing with the Dodgers as he recovers from shoulder surgery. The team said recently it wants him back. This is his call. Kershaw is out into the summer. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you so much. Coming up, we do have that transfer portal update because a big domino fell yesterday amongst the college football quarterbacks. We've get you up to speed in just moments. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Tonight's Thursday Night Football preview is sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. The last time these two teams played was in Week 4, and the Chargers took the game 24-17 behind 3 touchdowns from Justin Herbert and 6 sacks from Khalil Mack. But they now enter this game with Easton Stick under center for the remainder of the season. The Raiders feature running back Josh Jacobs, who injured a knee on Sunday against the Vikings, so he's questionable. Max Crosby is also questionable, has yet to practice this week. Tonight, the Raiders are a 3.5-point favorite.
Oof. It's going to be a tough one.
Tough
one for Alan Kirk.
Somehow they'll muscle through.
Kirk can talk about, I used to see this guy on Saturdays. We'll hear a lot of that.
Actually, I wouldn't mind if he just previews the college football playoff and a couple of the bowl games, because we got to get to college football, the transfer portal in full effect. Okay, Perloff has been updating us on all the latest quarterback moves in the portal. What do you got today?
Okay, actually, I want to ask EJ about this because he follows the Miami Hurricanes so closely. So Cam Ward came and went there. What is the latest on that? That seemed to be like the front runner for Cam Ward, and now it's not.
Well, look, everybody takes that Miami trip. So where you see him at Prime 112 with Rick Ross? It looks like he's having a great old time, and then now he's off to FSU, where he'll probably go sign.
Everyone uses Miami just for the visit.
Exactly. Jalen Hurts was partying at LIV with Manny Diaz many years ago, and we got excited about that. And guess what? A day later, he was signed to Oklahoma.
Okay, the other big one yesterday, Malik Murphy, Texas backup.
This was big.
So he entered the transfer portal, and there's a lot of rumors that USC could be the eventual landing spot for him. I have a question. If you're Malik Murphy, would you really transfer now and not go to the Final Four game where he could actually get into the game? He's the number 2 on the depth chart. I don't know about the timing. I know there's another transfer portal window. Why would he do it now? I guess he's got to get the spot. it just kind of sucks that he worked really hard to be the number 2 on a Final Four team, and now he can't play in it.
It is tough. I think these are like the predetermined windows, though, for the transfer portal. And
yeah, but there's another one.
You might be concerned, though, that the place you want to go might fill your spot before. It's like musical chairs.
Oh, 100%, especially a quarterback. But it just seems unfair that he can't play against Washington in this game because who knows? He could easily have gotten into that game.
We might get Arch Manning then.
He's really good. He's huge. He's got a monster arm. He was completely inaccurate this year at Texas. He was just a foot behind everybody, but he's young. I think he's going to be a star.
Going with Lincoln Riley might not be a terrible idea. The problem is the defense going to be good enough that you can win enough games to be in contention, even with a 12-team playoff.
But you sure can get drafted high. We know that for Lincoln Riley quarterbacks. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
This, to me, also says Quinn Ewers is going back next year. Do you believe that it's going to play out like that? Quinn Ewers is going to go back and Arch will sit another year? Does that ring true?
It's looking that way, but I don't know how badly Arch wants to play.
I think Arch is still young. I think he's still 18. I think he could sit another year. What's his rush? He doesn't need the money, so maybe he's just going to wait.
Maybe, or I just think guys are wired that way. Like, I just want to play. I don't want to sit, and I think you get impatient, especially if you're a highly touted recruit like Arch, but maybe he's on a different timeline. You might be right.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need to rush to the NFL to get his big payday at all.
That's true.
You've seen guys who are NFL sons and daughter. They just have a different attitude about all this. So I think it's the Ewers and Arch thing. Unless Ewers has such a dominant Final Four that he's a top 10 pick, that's the only scenario where I don't
think. If they win the title, he might go.
Yeah, if they win the title, or even if he's just incredible.
Yep.
Because I think that right now he's not talked about as a top 10 pick. There's too many other guys.
But think about it. Like, when you really think about the guys, who are we talking about? We're talking about Caleb Williams. We're talking about Drake May. We're talking about Jaden Daniels. And then who else are we really talking about as a surefire first rounder?
Well, I think
Michael Penix.
I think Bo Nix.
And Bo Nix. Okay, but
I think Bo Nix ahead of Penix because of Penix's knees. But yeah, I think next. Yeah, but who are you talking about next year? No one. So why would Ewers not want to go down that lane? It's him and Shador.
Yeah.
I assume it's Shador. I assume Shador doesn't go out now.
Yeah.
So I just think you don't want to be in the same draft with Caleb Williams. So I think this is a great time to wait.
Ironically, I know a lot of guys want to be the number 1 overall pick, but ironically, the guys who go a little bit later might end up in a better situation. You have to go try to save the Bears.
You watch Quinn Ewers. He doesn't look like an overwhelming NFL prospect so far. He's not huge. He doesn't look like Drake May. He's not big like Drake May. He's not dynamic like Caleb Williams. But then again, he is good. So if he shows out in the Final Four, maybe this will all change. It's amazing to me because you didn't even think Arch Manning was going to sit this year.
I didn't. I thought that it was going to be one of those like, hey, if I'm the most important recruit you've gotten, in the Steve Sarkisian era. I know Quinn Ewers was a very highly touted high school recruit, but Arch is on a different level because of the last name. And I wasn't sure if they said, hey, we want him to play immediately. Like, we're going to go to Texas, and we're doing that with like a handshake agreement. Hey, he's going to start. But listen, he didn't have to. Is that going to happen for 2 years? I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good problem to have if you're Steve Sarkisian in Texas.
This
is amazing.
What an upward. Next year? Wow.
I am a little jealous because you actually predicted that Texas is going to go all the way because I do think they're going to win that game against Washington, and then Alabama and Michigan are both flawed. I wish the Final Four would come a little sooner. That's my only complaint here, Maggie.
Did you see that the SEC schedule was released last night? Man, I'm just trying to get it right now. And
I did see they put out a date for Texas A&M. That is going to be awesome when that comes back.
The Texas schedule, I thought was, we'll have to do it in the next.
Well, it's got Georgia on it.
We'll do it next.
Yeah, Texas has got Georgia sitting there. But you can get 2 losses and get into the 12.
It's going to be different now.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Our celebrity NFL picker. Normally we do this on Fridays. Today we're doing it on Thursday because our guest is in studio. And he's going to be here in just moments. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio if you want to watch. Come on.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's been on the TB12 method since he was 6. She's on her third scotch. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Draymond Green suspended indefinitely, Perloff. They are throwing the book at Draymond Green finally after, what is this, his 6th suspension, I believe, if I'm carrying the one. And listen, at this point, we all know Draymond's antics, and clearly he's not going to change.
Right.
So what's going to finally get through to this guy? Because he's an obstacle standing in the way of Steph Curry ever winning his 5th title.
How is he an obstacle?
Because they paid him
Yeah.
in this offseason. They continue to make excuses for him
Right.
and to, in some ways, turn a blind eye to his bad behavior. Because if they really wanted to try to nip this in the bud, they could have done it years ago. But they permitted it because they believe that, you know, you take everything with Draymond and that the good outweighs the bad. I ask you now, at his age 33 season, does the good still outweigh the bad with Draymond Green?
I don't know the answer to that, but I'll tell you, a healthy, active, engaged Draymond Green isn't winning anything for this team. You saw them last year. They're just not as talented as the Nuggets. So it doesn't matter if Draymond's there or not. That's my point. He's not holding them back. Their entire roster is holding them back.
You know, here's the thing, though. You have an all-time unbelievable player. You have an all-time unbelievable player in Steph Curry. And
Yeah.
I hate to always do the LeBron thing, but I'm going to do the LeBron thing, which is LeBron is also an all-time player who's still at an all-time high level. And you see the organization doing everything they possibly can to try and do the best they can for LeBron. Hey, Ben, how you doing? Come on in. We got our celebrity NFL pickers in as we're talking about Draymond Green this morning. And so glad he's here. We'll introduce him in a second. But it doesn't feel like the Warriors are doing everything they possibly can to maximize the end of Steph Curry's career. He needs a 5th title.
Yeah.
He wants it. He wants to, you know, be right there with Magic. He wants to get one more title than LeBron.
I'm just saying Draymond being there or not being there is not going to cost the Warriors the title because they need 2 or 3 more players to compete with the Suns and the Nuggets and the Lakers. I don't care if Draymond's there. That's not enough in itself.
Okay, well, let's get the thoughts of our guest who's in studio with us today. You want to watch twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. And we're so excited because it is not often that we get celebrity Buffalo Bill fans. And this might be the number one. His name is Benny the Butcher. He is a world-renowned MC and hip-hop star. He is a Grammy-nominated artist. And Benny, you are the celebrity fan for my Buffalo Bills, your Buffalo Bills. Welcome to the studio. Thank you.
Thank you. Biggest Bills fan. Don't forget Emmy Award winning.
Emmy Award winning. How could I forget?
But I'm the biggest Bills fan there is. You know, I know there's a lot of Bills fans out there. I'm sorry they can't compete with me.
Listen.
I'm sorry.
I mean, she's a pretty big Bills fan, by the way. Notice the Bills and stuff on the wall.
That's the first thing I seen.
You know who this is? The frame jersey that I have behind me. Freddie Jackson. That's who I wanted because, Benny, you and I are about the same age. So people, like when we were young kids, that's when the team was going to the 4 straight Super Bowls. But people don't realize there was like 20 years in the middle.
Between that. And Fred was like a workhorse for us.
Marshawn Lynch, Fred.
Exactly,
yes.
Yep. Fred, Eric Modes.
Yeah,
guys like that.
Price.
Exactly. I remember the quarterback drought we had was terrible.
Quarterbacks,
guys like
coaches.
Rob Johnson.
JP Losman.
Oh, man.
Trent.
We had big hopes. We had high hopes for JP.
I know, Tulane, right? Oh.
Big arm.
Right, big arm. Cannon on him.
Yeah. And it was a revolving door of quarterbacks and coaches. And you are going to be picking some NFL games for us. You have a lot of sports ties, so we're going to get to all of that. But just quickly, because I get clowned around here because I'm kind of like, I'm like a little negative sometimes as a Bills fan. Listen, Josh Allen is the quarterback we've been waiting for since Jim Kelly.
Right.
But it's hard for me not to think that, like, things are going to go wrong because my whole life.
Our window? Felt like we missed our window?
I'm worried that the 13 seconds game, carried over in multiple seasons. I'm worried about when the Bills, when the game's on the line, that Sean McDermott's going to get tight.
Right.
Like, are you an optimistic Bills fan? Or are you a little more like me?
I'm like you. I put in too much time in my fan years to hope on wishes and dreams. Me being the biggest Bills fan, honestly, I haven't been to a game all season because, I don't, they playing like shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see that. I went to those Kansas City Chiefs games and I rented suites. It cost a lot of money.
I feel like
set me back a lot, and those 2 losses back to back. like crush me. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
But you guys are exactly the same. You understand that they have this kind of an easier end of schedule. I think that they could go on a little run here.
No.
And they just beat the Chiefs.
You think the end of our schedule is easy?
Playing the Dallas Cowboys this weekend.
After you get the Cowboys game is tough, but then
we got Miami again.
Yep.
Yeah, but I feel like Miami's got a lot of injuries. You already killed Miami. There is a chance that this team gets into the playoffs, and I don't think anyone wants to see the Bills. Outside of Buffalo, I think we all view this team more positively. Nobody in the AFC wants to see Josh Allen.
I get it. And it's big on me how you play at the end of the season. I'm a big end of the season guy. And, if we can get it together, put some games together, yeah, but I won't be excited about going to the playoffs if we're not going into the playoffs blazing hot. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't matter to me if we don't go blazing hot.
The one thing, too, and this is why I'm so glad you're here. Benny the Butcher is here. He is a world-renowned MC and hip-hop star,
Yes.
Grammy-nominated, Emmy-winning, as you mentioned. I mean, you're the best thing to come out of Buffalo since
Rick James.
And it's like not even close. I don't even know who the second would be. You're incredible at what you do. And I'm glad you're here, though, to back me up on the Bills stuff. Because, the Bills can lose to anybody right now.
Right.
It's not about the schedule being tough. They lost to Denver. They lost to this awful Patriots team. It doesn't matter who they're playing. They're just not playing well. The opponent is almost irrelevant.
Right. I heard somebody say, and they was right. They say Josh Allen only play as good as the quarterback he's against.
Oh, that's good.
I paid attention to that, and I'm like, they're right. They're right. If he's with Pat Mahomes, it's gonna be a shootout.
Right.
If he's like with Zach Wilson, it's gonna be
sailing
crazy.
passes into the front row.
Exactly.
You're
right.
so right about that. You've got a new album out. It's called Everybody Can't Go. You've got a single out with Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
You can't turn on a sporting event without Lil Wayne. Are you the bigger sports fan or him?
Oh man. I don't know. That remains to be seen. You know what I'm saying? I'm in every sport. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I love every sport. The Buffalo Bandits just won the lacrosse championship
Look at you.
last year. And, a lot of people think that Buffalo hasn't no major titles. That is a major title.
Benny, don't do it. Benny, don't do it.
I'm being petty and I'm counting lacrosse here today.
We're Titletown. There you go.
Benny, you're known for touring a lot, so you know every city in the country really well. Is there a fan base out there, at least with a football team, that equals Buffalo? Because they're not, you have the Sabres and you have the Bills. Feels to me, everyone I know from upstate New York or Western New York, they're as into the Bills as really any fan base is in America.
As a Buffalo Bills fan, like we the craziest, and I gotta go to other stadiums and I kind of like bully other fans. I'm terrified of Eagles fans. I'm not.
Well,
gonna
I'm an
lie.
Eagles fan. I'm from outside of Philly.
I'm terrified of y'all.
Don't give them that.
Y'all won. You know what I'm saying? I'm never going to an Eagles-Bills game when it's in Philadelphia. I'm never going.
Have you ever been to a game?
I never been.
It's not that bad. I mean, it's bad, but
No, batteries at Santa Claus. It's bad.
I went to a Giants game, and it was like a 5-star restaurant. It was like nice in there. I'm like, nobody's yelling. It was like cool in there.
Yeah.
some places, I whenever I'm down
Go
in
to a
Atlanta,
Jets game, a different vibe.
Whenever I'm in Atlanta, it feels like they're more into Georgia football than the Atlanta Falcons for me. I don't know what it is. There's certain cities where they don't seem to be as rabid.
Yeah, I was just down there. I went to the game a couple weeks ago, and it was the same thing. I get the same feeling. It was like everybody just came to just chill. When you go to a Bills game, you're ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Like it's different. The vibes is different, and I just don't feel at another stadium.
So Benny the Butcher is here in studios, got a new album out. It's called Everybody Can't Go.
No, Everybody Can't Go. January 26th.
January 26th. Thank you for telling me that. And also, the amount of work that you put out, you're so prolific. It's so much. It's incredible, and it's all at such an incredibly high standard.
Thank you.
The Buffalo Bills came to you and asked you to write an anthem for them. How challenging, or what was the different challenge of trying to write that anthem as opposed to the work that's just inspired by your life?
Because the work that inspired by my life is I'm giving my personal experiences, and I'm really kind of as an artist, we don't care if anybody gets the music. We just expressing ourselves. It just turns out that millions of people identify with it. But making a song for the Buffalo Bills, I had to kind of make that for everybody. So I couldn't just take how I feel into consideration. I had to think this is for the city. This is for every Bills fan. It's Buffalo Bills fans in Italy, in Austin, Texas. And you know what I'm saying? I just had to do it like that, but I was ready for it. I made it chanty. We the Mafia, Bills Mafia. You know what I'm saying? Very chanty, and it's a very build up, and it's a climax. So just had to make it real heavy. And you know what I'm saying? We need another one. After this season, we need another one.
You
need to hold.
gotta go back into the lab.
Are you gonna write another one?
I'm literally going. I can't listen to this song again next season because it's like the energy is sucked out of this song.
Yeah, we need like a new refresh. Although I still think Shout's a banger, but I think that's just because
Shout is it. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. I didn't want people to think I was trying to replace Shout. That's why I use a part of Shout in the songs.
I think it's great. Benny the Butcher is here. I mean, you are obviously close now with guys who are on the Bills. Do you think a lot of those guys, they're not from Buffalo? Like, this is always the funny thing when Buffalo, you know, drafting guys from Alabama and Georgia. I'm like, they never seen snow before. How are they going to do this? But you really are like tried and true Buffalo. Do you get the sense that this team really understands what they mean in the city? Like, do they get the baggage that we live with, fans like you and me?
Not every guy. And I don't expect every guy on the team to get it, but definitely guys like Deion Dawkins. Nominated NFL Man of the Year again. This is the second time. Guys like him get it. He's involved in everything that goes on around the city. I would have to say Josh Allen gets it too because he's a quarterback. So he gets the things right on the face. He deals with everything. You know, he got the big check. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure, like, you know, we love him. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely guys on the team who, you know, I really don't care for. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know, no, this is Buffalo. We've been through a lot football wise, and if you don't want to be here, man, like, you don't got to be here. You know what I'm saying?
You want to name names or no?
Yeah, I do not.
Okay, there you go. That's your right. Benny the Butcher's here to pick games for us. He's our celebrity NFL picker today. He's got a new album out.
Let's go.
You know, last year I talked a lot with Maggie. To me, last year seemed like it was on a great path. Then the DeMar Hamlin thing. I mean, that's got to affect not just the team. I mean, the whole city, the whole country was affected by it. How do you get back to football after something like that?
Yeah, and man, it was. That kind of like sucked the energy out the moment too. You know what I'm saying? A shout out to DeMar Hamlin. I'm happy he's healthy and everything like that because life is way more important than football. But, you know, I don't know how you get back to that. And those guys got a pretty big mountain to climb. You know what I'm saying? But I'm there with them. But it's going to be tough.
Have you got to know him at all?
Yeah. Definitely know DeMar. Yeah. He's a good dude, man. And I just had I got a gold plaque for a record that I put out a couple months ago, and I had a party celebrated, and he showed up. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to DeMar.
Benny the Butcher is here with us. When I tell you this man is a world-renowned MC, hip-hop star, the album comes out January 26th, the new album. But it's, again, like, you go back through your catalog, and it's incredible. It's all inspired by your life, which you've lived a hell of a life, my friend.
Yes, I did. Yes, I have.
You really have. And, you know, one more thing on that before we get to our picks, and we brought you in here to pick some NFL games. And you actually have a sports representation firm as well. There's just so many crossovers. But I'm curious to get your thoughts on this because when I say you lived a hell of a life, you really have. You know, growing up, projects in Buffalo, people probably don't even think that exists, but it does.
It does. It's there.
It does. And, you know, dealing drugs, in and out of prison when you were in your 20s, but clearly you had this talent and the ambition and the drive and everything to get you are to where you are today. I see Ja Morant, okay? So Ja Morant in the NBA has made it. You know, he's got the big contract. He won the face of the league. He's like flashing guns on Instagram, and it got him suspended. And people are saying, like, why are you trying to, you know, project like you're living this life of a street, like, hustler or whatever. And meanwhile, you've made it. Like, you don't have to do that.
You don't have to.
You lived this. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't an act for you. When you see things like Ja and what he's doing, how does that make you feel?
I feel bad for him, honestly, because, you know, coming from those type of environments, man, those type of environments have a very strong hold on us. So when we tend to make it out, we don't like making it to this business. I don't have no friends in this business. All my friends is back, you know what I'm saying, in the street. So I made new friends, but it's like sometimes they have a hold on us and certain expectations and peer pressure. They expect us to act one way, you know what I'm saying, even though we made it. Everybody didn't make it, you know what I'm saying? But that's why my new album is called Everybody Can't Go, because that's one of my things is that I want to let my boys know that I'm not trying to be like a tough guy with y'all no more. Like, how y'all feel about me, I don't care. If you feel like I switched, I changed, I'm not the same no more, like, you're right. I'm literally not the same no more. So as he gets older, he's going to realize that, you know, I don't got to, like, you know, I don't have to feel that survivor's remorse. That survivor's remorse, he want to keep guys around him. Maybe he know that shouldn't be around him. He don't want to voice his opinion. You know, so it's hard being, you know, I'm 39 years old and some of these things that I just learned them, how to separate, you know, my toxic friends from my career, because they would bring me down. And you had to be vocal about that. You got to tell people like, yo, bro, you'll bring me down. Like I'd be in prison, like trying to hang with you guys and do what you're doing every day. So in his position, he probably don't want to be that vocal because, guys would take that personal. Well, you mad at me because you getting money. Now you talking down us. I'm not talking down. I'm just being serious. Like you're going to bring us down. So he just got to mature. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Ja Morant. You got to mature, young brother. You know what I'm saying? I hope all of that stuff is behind him. Like I said, man, coming from those environments, they have a strong hold on us, and a lot of guys want to keep it real. But I'm married with children. I got to keep it real to my mom, my wife, and my daughter. That's more important than everything. So when guys figure out those things, they be better off.
Benny the Butcher is here, and we asked you here to drop some knowledge on us, and that was really perfectly put, but also to pick some NFL games for us.
Let's go.
Okay, let's play the music.
Time for Celebrity Picks.
I don't know if you remember the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
I do. I love that.
The Robin Leach. I mean, in a little theater of the mind here, you can watch us, of course, right now on YouTube and Twitch. But Benny, you are. I don't think people say iced out anymore. I think that's probably passe.
They still use that term.
All right. Well, you got a lot of ice on. It looks really good. Very amazing.
I have more on. I'm like, it's too early.
You took off a couple things. Wow.
We appreciate you being here at 9 a.m. Yeah. That is
thank you. I love shows like this. I wish I could do more sports shows, and they told me like, you sure you want to get up? I said, what else am I going to be doing? Like ordering DoorDash, McDonald's in my hotel room? Like, I'm coming.
Wait, what's the sports debate you've always want to have? Like, do you want to do the Michael Jordan LeBron thing, or in your vision of what we do, what would you want to be?
Definitely the LeBron thing, but this is what I be trying to I'm on my Buffalo Bills thing.
Yeah.
I be trying to paint the picture to show people like those 4 Super Bowls that we lost, 2 of them we supposed to lose. It was really a big task getting back to those games. We were a wild card team, one of those years going against the Dallas Cowboys, the America's team, Dallas Cowboys. So it was like we don't get a lot of credit here. We no way we was going to win that. You know what I'm saying?
We do this thing called multiverse where we do a sports what if. And eventually I'm going to convince everybody we should do what would have happened if the Norwood wide right had not, if he had kicked the field goal and made it. Because I think we're America's team, quite frankly.
I think so too.
Oh, come on.
I think so too. Red, white, and blue. Only true New York State team.
All right, wait. Do you think it's a big accomplishment to make 4 straight? I mean, obviously it is, but
it's a bigger accomplishment than winning a Super Bowl.
I'm from Philly, and I was so excited the Eagles got the Super Bowl, and even though they didn't win, everyone here called me a loser because they did beat the Chiefs. That's a big deal to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you got to think how many guys get drafted a year, how many guys, how long careers last in this game. Man, and that's a pretty big feat because everybody don't make it there. I know as fans, we watch the Super Bowl every year. It seems like everybody go, but the average player doesn't sniff a Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
Win or even goes. You know what I mean?
Benny the Butcher's got the new album out January 26th. Everybody Can't Go. We should send this directly to Ja Morant. I think that could be good. You got the single coming. It's out. Lil Wayne. It's
Big Dog. Me and Lil Wayne got to go get that.
That's amazing. Let's pick some NFL games, okay?
Let's go.
Here we go. Let's start off with this one. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Indianapolis Colts. This one's tight. Indy only a 1.5-point favorite.
I would have to go Indy. I got to go Indy on that. I believe in those guys more than the steel mill guys, man. Trust me.
How about Broncos are at the Lions? You got the Lions are a 4-point favorite.
Well, I'm getting on the plane, and I'm going straight to Detroit with this one.
There we go.
Those guys looking good over there.
Still believe in the Lions. We love it. We're going to save our Bills one for the end. How about let's do a little Jets-Dolphins, another AFC East showdown. Miami's still an 8.5-point favorite in this game.
Man, that's an AFC East showdown. I want the Jets to win because Miami would be shooting up further in the division standings. But I got to go Miami. I don't think the Jets could do it.
You believe in Miami? You think you scared of them?
They looking good. I'm not scared of them because I don't believe Tua.
Yeah.
I don't believe I think he got a little bit more work to do, but they looking good.
Were you happy when, you don't have to say this, were you happy when Aaron Rodgers got hurt so the Bills didn't have to deal with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets this year?
We lost that game.
Happy's not right the word.
I wasn't happy, but to say relieved, yes.
yeah. That's a better word.
How about a little Ravens are at the Jags? Ravens are a 3-point favorite on the road. I'm
going with Ravens, man. Lamar Jackson, he's gotten back to AFC Championship, Lamar, I believe he's there. And Trevor Lawrence, he looks good. He's looked good, but Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, they're going to take that game.
Okay, last one is obviously team near and dear to your heart, to my heart, which is the Cowboys are at the Bills. Bills are a 2.5-point favorite in this one. I don't know how Vegas keeps making the Bills favorites in these games.
We're 2.5-point favorites.
Yes, we are.
They believe in us. They believe in us. I'm going to say this about this game. Before I make my pick, I'm going to say the only thing that could resurrect the Bills losing those 2 Super Bowls if we go back and beat the Dallas Cowboys in a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? That would make up for the 2 we lost. Man, I'm going to go Buffalo Bills on this one. I'm going to go Buffalo Bills, and I'm not picking with my heart and my feelings and my fandom. I'm just picking, Dak, he got to lose sometime. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He got to lose sometime, and we're at Buffalo, Orchard Park. I got the studio booked all day in New York that day, but I just might sneak away and get on a plane and go to that game.
I think they need you, Benny.
You haven't been all year. You got to show
I haven't
support.
been all year. I might have to go to that game. But I think we're going to take that game. I think, like, if the professionals and the experts are right, the Bills are heating up, and I think we're going to take that game. I think so.
Hopefully from Benny the Butcher's lips to the football god's ears that the Bills can keep this thing going. We cannot tell you how much we appreciate this. Getting up early, fellow Bills fan, you, the much more famous one than me, and we appreciate everything you do. Side note, I mean, for the real true Buffalo people, what you did for the victims of the shooting in the grocery store, I mean, raising money for them, it was just amazing. And it was tough, and that shows a real commitment to the community.
Yeah, man, I'm a Buffalo kid, and I appreciate you guys for having me, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love doing shows like this. And for everybody watching and listening, if you use my picks and you gamble and you win money, you can hit me up on my Cash App, DM me. It's the holiday season.
Benny the Butcher, again, the new music, January 26th, got the single with Lil Wayne. The album's called Everybody Can't Go.
Yeah.
You got to check it out. Phenomenal.
Maybe
Thank you,
January 26th, Bills will be in the AFC title
Don't
game.
say it.
No.
That's the 26th?
No, it's right around there.
Oh,
I don't know
about
if
to
it's the 26th. Maybe a couple days after this. I'm just saying, if the Bills go on a run, you got to come back.
I have to. I will be back. I was the senior Bills analyst on the Jalen and Jacoby show. ESPN got rid of it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm an out-of-work Bills analyst.
Oh, we need it. We need it.
You found a home. Consider yourself home. Benny the
Appreciate you
Butcher,
guys.
appreciate you so much. We've got more Maggie and Perloff coming up, including a little check-in on Aaron Rodgers explaining his new tattoo. Oh, boy. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Learned something in that interview with Benny the Butcher. Learned something not about Benny. We learned a lot about him. He was awesome. Learned something about all fans of the Buffalo Bills. You're all the same.
Yeah, we are.
You all have been beaten down by years of coming close and not winning. Guys, just look on the bright side. You have a winning record. You have Josh Allen. It felt like when you guys were talking about Bills, like the whole body language changes. The shoulders slumped down a little bit. You're like, what's going to happen right next? And the two of you are identical twins.
I know. I'm saying, like, I have very little in common on the surface with Benny the Butcher. He's a world-renowned rap star. I am not. He is world famous. He's probably wearing hundreds of $1,000s worth of diamonds. All of that stuff. It was like looking into a mirror.
Yeah,
I felt like I was the same. It was
same.
Same.
I felt like I'm talking to Maggie here. He's like, I haven't been to a game this year because it's not going our way. You're 7-6. You're not 3-10. You're not Bill Belichick and the Patriots.
The windows closed. No, we lost to them. The windows closed. The sky is falling. You know, all that stuff. But Benny is phenomenal. So again, January 26th. That's when his new album comes out. Okay, we like to check in on Aaron Rodgers occasionally, and that means every day.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
Okay. Now, here's one from the McAfee Show on Tuesday. I just want to preface this by saying, I don't think all tattoos are stupid. I think people have beautiful tattoos, and not everyone who explains their tattoos sounds like Aaron Rodgers is about to sound. But it's something about the combination of Rodgers explaining his new tattoo, where his Hungarian tattoo artist flew in to Brooklyn, the same guy who did his tattoos before, and now he's explaining his new tattoo. Again, I'm not anti-tattoo,
The more you say that, the more it sounds like you're anti-tattoo.
Not
By the way, I don't know why.
I'm
You're
not
the-
against them, but they're pointless and dumb and a waste of your body.
Yeah, you're like, I just want to say that I don't think all tattoos are childish and a cry for help.
And the good Lord
You're
is
getting way
judging
too
you
specific.
I'm just saying, listen to Rogers describe his tattoo, and you be the judge.
Some symbolism there. There's dragon. Love dragons. There's the 8. Number 8. It's sideways 8 is infinity, obviously. And then the 2 and the 12 is an ode to my godson. So yeah, just a combination of a lot of different things. But shout out to Bogusch for.
Is he biting his own tail? Tails like chasing the dragon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. I see no problem with any of that. That was a completely accurate description of the tattoo. It sounded fine. Why is this so problem? Why are you judging this, Maggie?
Okay. The reason I'm judging is because it's just a little on the nose with the symbolism, right?
It's like the starter kit for tattoos.
Thank you.
But you saw the tattoo. It's actually really cool.
Oh, it's really cool. The art on it is amazing. And the person who has this guy, Bogusch, I guess, is a Hungarian tattoo artist who doesn't speak any English, by the way. They only communicate in sign language, he said, basically, like hand signals. And he's sitting there for 5 hours.
And he's in Brooklyn, by the way, which I like.
Well, he travels the world.
Oh, well,
he doesn't live in Brooklyn.
Well, Rogers got this one in
Yes,
Brooklyn.
he did get
I
it.
heard of the interview. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I am never getting a tattoo around you because you sound like you probably judge every tattoo. The fact that you preface it that way says to me you definitely judge every tattoo.
I don't. I'm just saying, the sideways 8 is the infinity sign. And
But
it's
he
made out of a
said
dragon.
it kind of apologetically. He's like, I know this is cheesy, but the sideways. But also too, when he goes, I love dragons, and McAfee goes, of course.
Yeah, of course you do.
Who does not like dragons?
Yeah, my first tattoo is a dragon.
Yeah. By the way, I'm a huge dragon fan.
See now who sounds like
I don't know.
apologizing now.
I think of all the weird things that Aaron Rodgers did. That was actually rather normal. Like
The bar is really weird.
But it's just the way he presents it. Like it's the deepest, most
Yes.
common tattoos. Like it's a dragon because
no.
I like dragons, and it's a sideways
No.
8 'cause that means infinity, guys.
I totally disagree. He was apologetically saying, I know this looks cheesy because basically the guys were calling him out. Come on. Like they were saying, the guys on the McAfee show were like, all right, explain this cheesy tattoo you got.
No,
it's I know it's symbolic.
No.
There's a dragon. He wasn't like, oh, you're not going to believe this is the infinity symbol. I think he knew.
I think he thinks he's breaking new ground on all
He
this
goes,
stuff.
no, he said it's a sideways A, which could be the infinity. He was not like bragging about that tattoo. You guys you're way too anti-Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
in this
that's
case.
fair. I'll get that tattoo. Is it David Beckham that has a tattoo in a different language or some kind of sign and it's wrong? Like he thought it meant one thing to mean something different?
Oh, I feel like 90% of people who got like any kind of, Mandarin or Cantonese, whatever, any kind of lettering.
Or hieroglyphic. That Rogers is that guy too. He thinks it means something amazing and it's just it's Puff the Magic
you
Dragon.
get the Chinese symbol and you think it means hope and it really means like sandwich.
Yeah. Or herpes.
Meanwhile,
By the way, you've seen the Andrew Perloff tattoo, right? The guy's got my face on his thigh.
Yes, I have seen that.
Super disturbing. There was
Wait,
a guy
are you for real?
Yeah, there's a big fan of the Dan Patrick Show named Sugar who got all the Danettes tattooed all over his body.
Where's
And
Paulie?
I don't know. I have no idea. I know I was the first one. I was on his calf, and it's lifelike. He has he's a professional. I think his wife's a tattoo artist. It's hard to explain.
I just want to know.
It's hard to explain to people.
DP show, iconic. Like what you guys, what he continues to do, what you guys did, and Perloff, like with your character, is amazing. But how deep on the depth chart do you have to go to get to the Danettes as body art?
Well, your name is Sugar, so
all the dragons have to be done at that point, and every infinity symbol.
an 8 in every direction.
No more mythological beasts to cover.
Yeah, no, honestly, like I don't know. I don't think that's the only Danette tattoo out there.
I think you're right. I think there are some other Danettes out
He's
there.
like, sports radio shows, they become your friends.
That
They
is
become
true.
part of your life. So, listen, this is going to sound like bragging, but I remember the big moment for us was on Jay Leno. Jim Parsons was at the height. Jay goes, well, who are your friends? He goes, well, I don't have a lot of real world friends, but I feel like the guys on the Dan Patrick Show are my really good friends.
Yeah,
And we
right.
didn't even know we watched. So, there are people out there,
Oh, yeah.
and Dan probably has 50 tattoos of him out there. Although I don't know, why would you get a Dan Patrick tattoo?
Yet getting a McLovin tattoo makes total sense to you.
Well, no.
Dan is like the soundtrack of my childhood.
I do think it makes more sense to get a McLovin tattoo because the kitsch value and the story behind that, like Dan Patrick's a little too straightforward. It's too, as you said, on the nose. Yeah, it's like, hey, is that Dan Patrick on your arm? Like, if you have some random person, it's a fun story.
Dan Patrick on your arm, much better conversation starter than McLovin on your arm, I think.
Is it though?
No, I think having a random person on your arm is a good conversation starter. Like, oh, who's that? That's Bill.
If you can get one Sports Center former or current Sports Center anchor tattooed on your arm, who would it be?
Oh, great question.
You guys didn't know I have Neil Everett on my ankle.
Neil's a good one. I think I'd have to go Linda. I mean, Linda Cohn is like, I bow down to the altar of Linda Cohn. And now I feel lucky enough to call her a friend.
Even with Linda, who's awesome, you got to go Boomer. If you go DP and Oberman or Boomer to me.
Listen, Linda also had her own catchphrases, by the way. For the love of elevation, I mean, that's right up there with whatever Boomer did.
Oh, get out of here. It's right up there with O to be Young and then McDowell. I mean, not catchphrase. Catchphrases, it's a great catchphrase. But if you're talking nicknames, Chris Berman is...
nicknames, he's undefeated.
Yeah.
EJ, you said Stuart Scott, Bogusch.
Yeah, cool on the other side of the pillow. I mean, easy.
Yeah, I'd go with Dan or Craig Kilborn.
Yeah, but Kilby's his own thing.
It's always the...
Yeah, it's taken a turn.
Carlos probably has never even seen sports.
No, of course I have. I would go Neil Everett for bartender Jack.
Bartender, it's a great one.
Yeah, there's a time I would have said Oberman too, but that definitely is not aged well.
No love for Kenny Mayne around here?
He'd be on my list.
He's great.
Oh,
yeah, I'm trying to think of
him.
If somebody had named a completely random, like some guy who was there for 2 years in 1997 or something.
Yeah, Brett. What was his
name?
The guy
that won Star Search, their version of Star Search, Mike Hall.
I know. I tried out for that.
He did not last very long.
No, he did not. Wait, you tried out for that?
I did. Dream job.
Yeah,
I tried out at the ESPN zone in Washington, D.C. when I was a freshman in college. Yeah.
Did you get it?
Yes, I did. I've actually
Still
been
waiting.
on Sports Center.
She's like, why do you think I'm sitting here?
She's doing Sports Center tonight, Perloff, 6 p.m.
You know,
you wouldn't know because you were in jury duty.
She's Linda's stunt double on Sports Center.
Yeah. You know, I bet gets a lot of tattoos.
I could have convinced Perloff that I won that.
Yeah.
Got a second house in Bristol.
You know who gets a lot? SVP. Because the shape of his head is somewhat iconic.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that'd be a good tattoo. You guys know the thing where SVP, where you see a bald guy in the grocery store and you take a picture and say, I just saw Scott Van Pelt. It's amazing how many people look exactly like Scott Van Pelt.
It's like half the people work here.
It's like now I can't unsee it. Now I see someone and I always want to take a picture, but then I feel like, is it weird that I do this as someone who's in the media? Like,
I know. I'm the same exact thing. I'm like, oh my God, that's SVP clone right there in the grocery store.
It's good to play along.
He is the nicest. Scott Van Pelt is the nicest guy in the industry too, by the way. By far.
Bogusch is here with headlines.
And who knew an NBA game ball was so important? Giannis and the Bucks wanted it last night after Giannis scored a franchise record 64 points, but Milwaukee thought the Pacers took the ball out of spite, I guess, so multiple Bucks got angry post-game. Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle said they wanted the ball for rookie Oscar Tshiebwe, who scored his first career points last night.
We were not thinking about Giannis's franchise record, so we grabbed the ball, and a couple of minutes later, several of their players ended up in our hallway, and there was a big I don't know what to call it, a fracas.
It's not fracas, just like it's not
Chipotle. And I'm going to do it again today.
Wait, say that word one more time.
Chipotle.
And just like it's not...
Like a
Yeah, nice try, Zion. And it's wait, one more, baby. One more.
An epic sci-fi movie, an epic sci-fi movie years in the making, when a colony on the edge of the galaxy finds itself threatened by the armies of the region. I can't even pronounce the words. Tyrannical, how you pronounce tyrannical? Tyrannical, regent, that is Belisarius.
Tyrannosaurus Rex? What was Mad Dog reaching for there?
Wait, what did Rick Carlisle say?
It's fracas, isn't it fracas?
It's fracas.
It's fracas. Yeah.
Fracas.
It's definitely not fracas.
Oh,
he's from upstate New York, so it's long A.
It's fracas.
Yeah, that's how
Actually, I didn't know
said
that. I thought it was fracas. I would have said fracas.
So you guys are going with fracas, right?
Fracas,
yeah.
It is. It's pronounced with a Y like it doesn't exist, though.
Thank you, EJ.
Chipotle. And I'm going to do it again today.
Wait,
Everybody
say
knows
that
it's
word one more
fracas.
time.
Chipotle.
It's like fracking. It's not fracking. That's fracking. This is fracking.
Hold on. I'm going to Google search here. I can hear the typing. Hoping it's fracas. He started to say melee wrong, too, but he fixed himself on that one.
Was going to say Malay?
He did.
It's a Malay.
I'm really just so sorry that I deign to actually mispronounce a word amongst the Shakespeare scholars.
Wait, say that word one more time.
Chipotle? God.
Us international scholars who can handle Chipotle.
I mean, it must be hard that you guys have mastered the English language so much to sit around and hear me say fracas.
Butchering it. Here's the thing, though. It's like a fracas, a melee. It's like we're getting what happened back there. Are we going to get some video? Because he said no punches, but his general manager got an elbow in the ribs.
It sounds and looks like, because there's a short video of it, that the Bucks almost tried to go into the Pacers locker room to find the game ball.
So is Giannis going to get suspended now? What are we doing?
I saw a video of like Jay Crowder in street clothes. I think that's who it is. Right? He's an injured Buck, right? EJ, NBA expert, insider.
Sorry, say that again?
Jay Crowder would have been there last night.
Wait, say it one more time.
Jay Crowder would have been there last night. He's on the Bucks.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
There's a dude looking like Jay Crowder in street clothes.
I believe he was. He was not playing, but
right.
He's on the roster
in the middle of the fracas.
Right, and he usually likes to get into fracas.
Right, and they're like demanding the Pacers give them and then the ball back. And then I think Giannis says he doesn't even know he has a ball, but he can't know for sure that it's the game ball.
Yeah, I think that's a good flex by the Pacers. Like, you just scored your 64 points in a game. Is that the ball you did it with? You're never going to know because Oscar Schwebe might have the real thing.
And I love that. He also like leaned on his like NBA experience as to why he knew it wasn't the ball. Like he was like, I've played in the league for X amount of years, played a lot of minutes tonight. I don't think this is it.
Also, this is a time I feel like Giannis is probably like, you Americans are so crazy. Like, what are you doing?
No,
just give me the ball.
He was crazy himself.
No, but it's like a couple of things are just like, just give me the ball. And also, like, remember the thing where the guy was setting up the ladder when he was trying to shoot free throws? Yes. Just like, leave me alone. What's going on?
But it's weird because like he's from Greece, where like, I mean, have you seen maybe you haven't, a Greece basketball game or soccer match?
Usually something's lit on fire.
Yeah, there's like flares in the stands. People die. Like, I'm like, he shouldn't be this. I don't know. I don't want to say soft, but like he shouldn't be this surprised that there's this kind of gamesmanship.
That's true.
And we're doing like high-end FBI security camera like breakdown of the chain of custody of the ball because somebody off the Bucks bench has it, and then he gives it to somebody who starts to walk towards the Pacers, and then the ball, we lose sight of it.
He was sprinting through the tunnel
to get to the other side of the court to yell at them because he was being blocked by on one end, so we like big runaround.
Once you make that kind of sprint, doesn't like an actual fight have to happen? Like to me, like when I saw the video, I was really nervous because it reminded me of like the Malice of the Palace. It reminded me of remember Shaq and Doug Christie and Rick Fox were running around. Like I thought it was gonna be a lot worse than it ended up being because of just how he was running so fast.
Listen, he gets this upset about the ball. Imagine if someone ever stole his wife.
Can you imagine if this was the in-season tournament, the level of brawl this would have
been? Well, this started with the in-season tournament.
It did. The bad vibes.
Yeah. All right. I mean, man.
I'm going to die on that hill, huh?
Living sweet.
Hey, the ratings were up 4%, Bogusch.
What did?
The ratings were up 4%.
From the previous IST?
From the previous regular season games. Okay. Yeah, 4%.
That seems like a lot.
5 million people.
4%.
More than any other non-Christmas regular season game.
The Amazon game tonight is going to double that rating, and it's Easton Stick versus Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, because people love FanDuel. And they love sports.
And DraftKings.
And DraftKings. Not dating women, apparently.
Right.
Those all go hand in hand.
And they don't like sex.
There we go. I think we're solving a lot of things here today. 855-2124-CBS. Perloff has to go to jury duty, quote unquote. So we will talk behind his back next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Perloff out for jury duty, allegedly.
He's just sitting on a bench judging people in a park.
No, what he's doing is he's just using this to make conversation with people around the office. Like Boomer Esiason down the hall.
And a free 11 minutes off of work.
Yes. Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots! He scores!
And our shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. Today's snapshot of the show. Anytime we can talk about Eddie Murphy movies from the 80s, I'm in. But this is big because Axel Foley, the character's from Detroit and wears a Lions jersey, a jacket, and now that's appropriate again.
There's got to be a Dan Campbell or Jared Goff cameo happening.
Crossed.
It's got to
Not
happen.
Goff.
You want Campbell?
Definitely.
Okay.
Or Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra, yeah. He's
Coolest
the LA
guy in
guy.
the league.
Totally forgetting the plot here. He moves to L.A., though, right? So I assume he's in L.A.
Well, maybe he runs into Dan Campbell in LA.
But he hasn't been in Detroit in 40 years, according to the timeline.
Maybe he goes back to solve a murder.
Or even Amon-Ra St. Brown's from L.A. These guys are famous. Dan Campbell finds his way in L.A. somehow, probably.
Or he gets into a fight with Sean McVay. It writes itself.
I mean, listen, if you're trying to sell movies these days, you need Detroit Lions in the movie, obviously. What are you guys talking about?
Yes. There we are. Okay. Right before we got a little time here, JJ is in California. Big Bengals fan living in California. JJ, how's that been for you?
It's been all right. It's been a while since I talked to y'all.
How you been doing?
And real quick, I've been good. I'm better. But I want to give a shout-out to Nick in Texas real quick because, he sent me a lot of messages and seeing if I was all right when I was going through my health problems. And, Nick's a good guy, man. Nick from Texas, man. I love that guy.
JJ, you're so right. We've met Nick before when we were in Houston for the Final Four. Started off, he was just a huge fan of the Dan Patrick Show and Perloff, and then he's come over to us, and he's great. His family's awesome, and I'm glad you're feeling better too, JJ.
Yeah, he's good people. Yeah. Real quick, you know how you guys were talking about the Chargers and, they didn't have no defense when they had Rivers and Gates and LT? Their defense kind of... Didn't they have, Rodney Harrison and Junior Seau and all them, and they left and went to the Patriots?
Yep.
It seems like the Chargers just didn't invest in any type of defense back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're talking about...
couldn't get to the passer.
A segment we did earlier called The Multiverse, where we do what-ifs in sports, and it was what if Eli Manning had actually gone to the Chargers, what would have been different as opposed to him demanding to go to the New York Giants. And honestly, we all just didn't really agree. We all saw it a different way. Perloff saw Eli still winning Super Bowls, and I think the rest of us did not. Oh, JJ's gone. Hey, really quickly, this is something that's become really important to us, which is we are trying to make a push here for the end of the year, a charitable push. And that is for every new subscriber we get to youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio or twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. We are donating $1 per one subscriber to the Boys and Girls Club. That's it. 1 for 1. Me, Perloff, Spike Eskin, our boss, has gotten on board and behind this as well. So easy. All you do is hit subscribe. We take care of the rest. And we've developed this nice relationship with the Boys and Girls Club under pretenses that they might not have the full story about, but nonetheless, it has been a good relationship and we want to give back. So that's it. One subscriber, we donate $1. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS.
And that's where I burned my subscription button, was to get Carson Wentz out of here. So I can't help on this call. So we need new people to hit the button to join on.
Yes, we destroyed the Carson Wentz poster, then donated to the Boys and Girls Club in all the cities that Carson Wentz played in to try to do a karmic balance there. And we just left out the Wentz part of it when we donated the money. Thank you to EJ Stewart. Thank you to Carlos Ortiz. Thank you to Andrew Bogusch, of course, to Andrew Kaplan, Weedos and the coffee drinkers and the callers. Thank you to Benny the Butcher, big Bills fan, Super Bowl champion Brian Billick as well. See you tomorrow, guys.